On Sports 1440.
Herbert steps up, throws it in the air. Catch made. McConkey breaking away. McConkey takes it all the way for the touchdown. 86 yards.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Unbelievable!
Well, a magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game at PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website, where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province. PlayAlberta.ca. The Edmonton Oilers, for the second time this season, are taking on the Los Angeles Kings. Of course, Oilers blew a 3-1 lead, lost that game back on December 28th in overtime. They come in today, and when you look at the Pacific Division, I'm telling you, it is an absolute slobber knocker right now at the top. It is very difficult to gain any ground between the Oilers, Vegas, and LA. Like, almost impossible. It's pretty crazy that over, a 30-game stretch, a 20-game stretch, a 10-game stretch, it doesn't matter. Over the last 30 games, the Oilers have 42 points, Vegas has 42, and LA has 41. Over the last 20 games, the Oilers have 31, Vegas has 30, LA has 30. In the last 10, Edmonton 15, Vegas and LA 14. So they've gained a grand total of, in 30 games, no points for Edmonton on Vegas, 1 point in the last 10. Now, Edmonton does have a game in hand. You win that tonight over LA. Obviously, you create a little separation between you and the Kings, but you also will gain 2 points on Vegas, and they would then be 4 back of Vegas. And this is a big game tonight, I think, for the Edmonton Oilers. I said it before this quasi 8-game road trip. I know tonight's game is actually on home ice, but you went on the road for 4, you come home for 1, you're back on the road. It's like an extended road trip, really. It's like a pit stop almost back home. Go all the way from Chicago to come back to Edmonton to go right back to Minnesota. It's not ideal. But, hey, that's what the schedule is. Everybody has difficult times in the season for the schedule. And so the Oilers, you got LA tonight, Minnesota, Colorado back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday, then you're into Vancouver on Saturday. Canucks get a little healthier. Definitely won't be an easy game. All 4 teams are playoff teams right now in the Western Conference. And so the Oilers, a great week to me would be 3-1. 2-2, fine. 2-1-1, better. Obviously, 3-1 would be great. Now, if you sweep all 4, that'd be ideal, but not that easy when you got, good teams that you're facing. It's hard to win 4 in a row against 4 playoff-bound teams. Not impossible, just hard to do. So I think tonight is the one, against the LA Kings. It's the Kings, so at 3rd game in 4 nights. So both teams, I think, fatigue's kind of even. Edmonton travels back after being in Chicago and Pittsburgh. So we'll see. Both teams will go 11-7 tonight. Oilers will sit Derek Ryan, and coming in will be Josh Brown. The Kings went 11-7 in Calgary on Saturday night when they lost 2-1 to the Calgary Flames. So, Burrows is their 7th defenseman. Josh Brown will be the Oilers' 7th defenseman. I might disappoint those. I'm not going to lose my mind over Josh Brown playing. I know I see some people, well, it's Josh Brown. Why is Josh Brown playing over Jeff Skinner? Because it's not Josh Brown over Jeff Skinner. The head coach wants Janmark, Henrique, and Brown as a line tonight. Connor Brown. And so in order for that to happen, it would then be Josh Brown for Derek Ryan. Unless you think one of Kapanen, Jeff Skinner, or Corey Perry is going to be your fourth line center. They're not. So it's really Josh Brown for Derek Ryan. Now you can say, hey, why is Jeff Skinner in or out instead of Kapanen? That could be your argument. Or Podkolzin, I think you know the answer. Or Janmark, I think you know the answer. Right? So it's basically, would you rather have Skinner or Kapanen? And the coach is going to go with Kapanen. And here's the other thing. Just, you look at matchups and everything else. Right now, the Edmonton Oilers forwards, 5-on-5. Goals per 60 amongst Oiler forwards, 5-on-5 this year. Guess what? You know who's third and fourth in goals for per 60? How about Leon Draisaitl's first at 1.29. Zach Hyman is second at 0.98. Kasperi Kapanen is third at 0.94. Corey Perry is fourth at 0.88. So Kapanen and Perry probably going to get a few shifts with McDavid and Draisaitl. Maybe they score. So, there's a lot. It's not just a one-off for one. Josh Brown, I know Josh Brown is limited in what he can do. I get it. I think we all see it. Do I think Josh Brown is a long-term answer? Of course not. In the course of an 82-game season, it's not all about the playoffs. Every game is an individual game. And tonight against LA, the coach has opted to go with Brown over Derek Ryan, wants a little bit more size in his lineup. He wants to ensure that Janmark plays with Henrique and Brown. And he's going to go from there. Right? I think the Henrique line had an off game against LA. LA had a really good game that line, the Byfield, Fogels, you know what? And guess what? They're not aligned tonight because Trevor Moore is back healthy in the lineup, so he'll play on the second line. Now, he's not as big as he's a better scorer, right? It's a little bit different dynamics, but I think they want Janmark, Henrique, and Brown because when they play together, historically in their time in Edmonton, which isn't that long, but still in the playoffs, regular season, they're pretty good. They can shut down the opposition. So he looks and says, hey, for matchups, I'm on home ice. If I got to have them out against the Byfield line, no problem. I'll do it because I'll feel more comfortable. And then that means that, McDavid and Draisaitl are probably going up against Kopitar and Danault. We'll see. Right? Danault, Fiala, and Lafayette, excuse me. If I get that matchup for Connor McDavid, I'm taking it all day. I'm not that worried about Phil Danault. It's me, especially against Connor McDavid, Hyman, and Nugent Hopkins. Not like that line's killing it 5-on-5. So I think there's a matchup game here. There's a size factor. He says, you know what? I'd like a little bit heavier of a team just in case. It's still part of the game. I don't think Josh Brown, ultimately when the game's over, I don't think we're going to be looking. I guess it's always possible that, Josh Brown over Derek Ryan was the reason the Oilers won or lost. I don't think that's going to be the case tonight. But it's not one. I don't think you need to freak out over it. It's one game. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. More so, I think you just get excited about the matchup. Because I'll say this, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, push comes to shove, I don't think Edmonton, if we put polygraphs on players on both teams, Edmonton would be more than confident, hey, we'll take LA on again in the playoffs. No problem. Because the one thing the Kings can't do is shut down the Oilers' power play. They can't do it. The Oilers' power play in the last three playoffs against LA, 45%. 45.8. They scored 25 goals on 55 chances. 1 year was 36%. The next year is 56, and last year was 45. Pretty damn good. Now, in all their other series, in their other, they were 28 of 109 for 25.7%. Still really good, but 25% against everybody not named LA, and then 45% against the Kings over the last 3 years. And they played 18 games versus the Kings, right? In the other 35 games, it was 25%. Still good, but obviously killer against the Kings. And this year in one game, 50%. So until LA shows that you could shut down the Oilers' power play, I don't think Edmonton has any, they're not fearful at all. And if you got into game one again in a series and the Oilers' power play scores early, it's a psychological thing at that point. 100% it is. So you respect LA, no question. They're a good team. They play hard, right? Defense is still, that's their identity, the LA Kings. While they're not a boring 1-3-1 forecheck anymore, they're still a defensive-minded team. Who ranks number 1 in goals against in the NHL this year? The LA Kings. They're tied with Winnipeg, 2.45. But guess what? We've seen this in the playoffs. If you're a staunch defensive team, but you can't score, you can't win. You can't. Ask Winnipeg, how was their great defense against Colorado, right? Matchups matter. And Edmonton is a horrible matchup for LA. For the Oilers, it's a great matchup. So you take it. But I think Edmonton would love to finish first. And that's why this week's a big week. And tonight's a big game against the Los Angeles Kings. It will be Kemper versus Skinner in between the pipes. And both teams going 11-7. No Doughty, no Emberson. They're banged up for the Kings. Obviously, Evander Kane is out. Skinner and Ryan are the healthy scratches for the Edmonton Oilers. And kind of away you go. Kings playing like they don't have any extra bodies around. So that's how it is. NFL weekend, we'll recap it. No surprise. Buffalo wins big. I don't think there's any surprise that Baltimore won big. I think most of you would have picked those two teams for sure. The Philadelphia Eagles, you might have thought, man, maybe Green Bay gives them a run, but the Eagles controlled that game. Now, the Chargers and Houston. Most people thought the Chargers had a really good chance to win. But it's hard to win when you throw 4 interceptions in the playoffs. I'd like to know, has a team ever won a playoff game when they've thrown 4 interceptions in the NFL? I'd be curious. I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure it's happened once, but it's pretty hard. It's more difficult when you throw more touchdowns in one playoff game, more interceptions in one playoff game than you did all season. Now, not all of them were the quarterback's fault, especially the one Drizzly had to go right through his hands. But Cons, as a Charger fan, as you're watching that game, like if I would have given you odds on lots of things, it would have been that, our quarterback's going to throw a lot of interceptions because it's the one thing he didn't do all year long.
Yeah, he was really good at not making those risky passes. And to the receivers' credits as well, that didn't happen a whole lot. Will Dissly kind of deflecting one. Ladd McConkey had one go through his hands. That was taken back, pick 6. A little high, but as a receiver, if it hits your hands, you got to at least bring it down. Knock it down. Do something. Don't let it go right through. But 100% ball security for the Chargers was not good. And give credit to the Houston Texans defense. Rush and cover go hand in hand. Yeah. Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson, great off the edge. And Lassiter for the Texans. What a find. Like, I know Derek Stingley's one of the best corners in the NFL, probably top 2. But if Lassiter pans out and looks like and plays the way he did, man, they're going to have one heck of a tandem for a long time. But yeah, ball security, that was something I did not see happening. 4 interceptions for a guy who threw 3 through the entirety of the season. Not characteristic of Herbert, but now he opens himself up to a lot of criticism because that's 2 games he's lost in the playoffs where he hasn't looked particularly good. And I know the haters will keep bringing that one up, but yeah, overall, not the most exciting weekend in the NFL, kind of predictable for a lot of the games. Did enjoy Commanders and Bucks, though. Good entertainment in that one.
Yeah, it was a close game, came right down to the wire, and Washington gets the doink off the upright. And then, man, Jaden Daniels for a rookie looked really good in that game. I thought he looked incredibly poised. That was easily the most competitive game of the weekend by far. So that leads us to tonight. Now, we know tonight's winner will automatically be taking on the Eagles. It's going to be Washington and Detroit. It's going to be the Chiefs. And Washington and Detroit is Saturday, the late game. The Chiefs and Houston will be the early game on Saturday. The game of the weekend, regardless of what happens tonight, although and I think it's going to be Minnesota. So Minnesota and the Eagles, really the 2-3 matchup games, those will be quite good. I know that Minnesota is technically not a 3, but let's be honest, they're a top 3 team. Look at their record in the NFC. That'll be a hell of a game. But the Bills and the Ravens, it's Monday, Connor Halley. I think it should be the game of the weekend. Doesn't mean it will be. It should be. Today on Monday, if we assume everyone's healthy, who do you like?
It's going to be such a good game. I mean, it's the 2 MVP candidates going head-to-head. Wish it was for the AFC Championship, but it's not going to be. I think that I do like the Baltimore Ravens slightly in this one. Just that ability to go on the road, run the football. Derrick Henry was almost a 2,000-yard rusher. Lamar Jackson, we saw the way he started off that game, willing to put his head down and run the football. I think just that versatility gives them a slight edge, even though it is going on the road. I think they're built to play cold weather football on the road. So I'm giving the Ravens the slight advantage in this one, but And Gregor, it's so close. Like, I just want the best team to win, so they have the chance to take down your Chiefs. That's really what I want. I want them to stay healthy.
Well, not my Chiefs. It's my son's team, and I'm kind of on, but I'm not like a diehard Chief fan by any stretch. Although I would like to go. I've never been to Arrowhead, so I would like to go there. But the Ravens, honestly, if you were Kansas City, I'd rather face Buffalo than the Ravens. Honestly, I just think the Ravens, Lamar combined with the running back, I think they present more. Like, Cook's good, but he's not Derrick Henry good. Like, Derrick Henry's an absolute force of nature. And to me, that's a concern. Like, obviously the Chiefs will be ultra confident against whoever they play. I honestly think the Chargers would have presented a bigger test. I think the Chiefs are going to completely the game might be close in the scoreboard, but I don't think it's really going to be close against Houston.
Yeah, I mean, going to be interesting to see because CJ Stroud, like, he did not look good to start that game. They kind of had that broken play that started to open things up for it. Patrick Mahomes, I know his interception totals were higher than Herbert's this season, but I don't think he's going to be reckless with the football. He's ramping up at the right time. I think it'll be tough. Like, like I said, the Texans have those edge rushers. They can create havoc, and, the secondary isn't too shabby. I still think the Chiefs will find a way to get the job done, but yeah, it's going to be a competitive game, I think.
Well, it should be fun, man. I look forward to it. I can't wait. Hey, guys, the last team to win 5-2 was Seattle versus Green Bay. Not sure how many picks. Wilson, 3 or 4. Okay. 2014, Cons. Look up that game. Did he have 4 picks for the Seahawks against Green Bay? NFC Championship game. 5 turnovers. Ooh, from Jay.
In regular season, the Texans intercepted Goff this season 5 times and still won.
Yeah, okay. Regular season. I'm talking
regular
playoffs.
Season,
yeah. So it happens. You can do it, but it's obviously a challenge for your team. No question. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey, boys, what's your thoughts about the Oilers looking at Braden Schneider in New York? Right-handed shot, D-man. What do you think the cost would be from Braden? Well, I can see why you'd like him for sure, right? He's a younger D-man, and that would be what's kind of ideal for the Edmonton Oilers, right? Like, what is he, 23? Right? He's got almost 2. I think he might be close to 250 NHL games played already, right? This is his 4th year. So I like him. Do I think the Rangers, like, if I'm the New York Rangers, and this has been a really disappointing year thus far. Now, they could still salvage it. If I look at all the Eastern teams in the Boston, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Islanders, Rangers, Columbus, I still think the Rangers have the most talent of all those teams. So can they beat them all here for the final 40 games? I think it's possible. So I wouldn't be trading Braden Schneider if I'm the I would think I would have a fairly high ask for that. Pretty good player. I think you have Lindgren might get moved out of there. A little bit older, more of a defensive-minded defender. But if they were willing to do it, what would it cost? Good question. Now, the Oilers, I would think the Rangers, you're going to want something. It's not just going to be a first rounder, right? Why would the Rangers do that? He was a first rounder, 19th overall. So you would get a pick from the Oilers that is worse, lower, for a guy who's an RFA, who doesn't have huge numbers. He's not going to command a big salary increase. I think if you're asking for Braden Schneider, I think that it's going to be a significant ask because of his age, because of his contract status, because of his, his whole numbers. Nothing screams huge raise for you. So I would, I don't even know if Edmonton has the pieces that they want. Like, do they have, their best young defenseman, I guess, is Bo Akey, but he's not NHL ready. Max Wayner's a little bit closer, but I'm not sure. Well, he's not NHL ready yet. And then, so if you look at their forward group, you got Matt Savoy. Okay. And the Rangers definitely would like some younger forwards. But as Edmonton, would you do Savoy for Schneider straight up? Probably not. If you're the Rangers, they'd probably want more, I think. You're giving a guaranteed NHL against a really good young prospect who's looking really good, which is great, as he should be. But, I've heard that name, and I'm kind of man, Chris Drury does that. I think he would regret that trade. because Schneider's not going to cost you very much. And I think he can give you really good minutes. Really good minutes. Coming up on the show today, we have a loaded Monday. The defensive coordinator of the Green and Gold, JC Sherritt's going to join us. We got Sean Brown in studio from 3 to 5. Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period will give us all the LA Kings side of things. Former NHLer Tom Poti is going to join us today at 4:20. We got Spec, Kevin Woodley. We got a great show. We'll also hear from Darnell Nurse, Chris Knobloch as the Oilers get set to take on the Los Angeles Kings. Warren Fogle back in Edmonton for the first time since, of course, he signed a free agent deal with the Oilers. Obviously, it's not his first game. He played against them in December. Makes it a little bit easier. Now, he was with Edmonton, but he's been through this in Carolina before, so it's not, but it is, you know what? He'll be juiced up. Make no mistake about it, right? You come in Edmonton, and it is different emotions than facing that team in LA, because now when he comes in Edmonton, it brings up all the memories of being here. Lots. So I know we got a lot of texts. Greg, do you think Fogle gets a video? It's a good question. Now, Holloway didn't get one. But Holloway chose, I guess if you leave as a free agent, yeah, but, you know, the Oilers offered you a contract to turn it down. In Holloway's case, maybe a bit different. I could see I don't know about a video, but I could see a thank you maybe. But again, I'm kind of a stickler for not just giving anybody a video. Warren Fogle, good player. Played here for 3 seasons? Solid 3 years. I don't know. I think it gets acknowledged. I don't think it gets a highlight video. Do you, Cons?
No, I don't think a video. I think maybe a still. Thank you for Warren, a little honor at the intermission. I don't think a video, though.
Yeah, okay. Well, there we
That's
go.
where I land on it.
All right. Quick break. We'll come back. JC Sherritt next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
It's getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle.
Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open. Vinny and Don in Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you know a student athlete interested in growing as a person and a player, attend the Vinny Open House on January 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. Beginner or experienced, this program nurtures and develops a student athlete's skills in a supportive environment. The Vimy Open House is a great opportunity for prospective student athletes entering grades 7 through 12 to see what Vimy Hockey and all of the other sport academies at Vimy have to offer. Visit vimyridge.epsv.ca for more info.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows. Locally manufactured and installed, Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Well, a lovely Monday afternoon. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Oilers hosting the LA Kings tonight. Puck drop around 7:39, give or take. They take on the Kings, not on Prime, so you can watch it on your regular Sportsnet channel. If you have it, it'll be Skinner versus Kemper. Both teams are going 11-7. Now, let's get to our football report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home the no payments, no interest for 1 full year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. As we welcome in former member of the Green and Gold, Grey Cup champion. He was now the defensive coordinator. JC Sherritt joins us. JC, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Jason. Doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's been a while, and I talked to you for many years when you were, of course, as a player, looking, always to improve. Every coach I ever talked to, many of your teammates, very smart guy. You've been learning the coaching thing here for a few years, JC. Excited to get the defensive coordinator opportunity. Kind of take me through that interview process. How was the interview process with Mark Killen, DC?
Yeah, my first job was actually on that Calgary staff, which of course Coach Killen was there, and we developed our relationship through that. And then as you go through this process, knowing that he was in the running, we've just kept a relationship for over 6 years now, and we've always wanted to work together. So, when he called and said there might be an opportunity, and get on the phone and go through that process with him and obviously with Ed, and away we went. So just fortunate how it worked out, and obviously past relationships with Ed and Mark, and you really develop that bond and know who each other are. So that certainly helps.
So give me what's your philosophy going to be as a DC?
It's always going to be aggressive, disrupting the quarterback and creating takeaways. And that's, it hasn't changed much through the years. You can get into analytics and things like that, but at this level, quarterbacks have to be uncomfortable. If they are comfortable, certainly with specific teams, it's over. You got issues and they'll dial you in. So that's always going to be a focus for us. And then just aggressive, fast, physical play. I've always been a believer that it's very contagious. I know Mark wants to set that standard early, as do I, on the defensive side of the ball. And, we're in a very, very fortunate position, but it's a very, you have to take advantage of starting something together what message you're going to come across on the defense and our defensive staff. You know, you get one shot to kind of set the standard, and then you got to hold the standard, and it's something we're looking forward to.
JC Sherritt joins us, defensive coordinator. I like how you outlined that, JC. You know what? Playing fast, physical, aggressive. And you played the game for a long time, so I think you probably know what's the best, because you can say it to a team, this is how we want to play. How do you ensure your guys play that way?
Honestly, it's got to be played that way, or you're not going to be able to play, and you've got to release players that don't play that way. And whether you lose talent for the greater good, it's worth it in the grand scheme of things. Either, releasing or benching players if they can't play to that standard. Luckily, there's a lot of people that want to be professional football players, and you can find the people that want to be fast, physical, and aggressive on a consistent basis. And, once you get that leadership, and there's already guys, when you watch film on the team, I think will be more than up to the challenge. Once it becomes contagious and the standard, the players will take care of the rest.
JC, what do you feel, because you've been coaching for a few years, but, when you're the defensive coordinator, it's different. Just like being an outside linebacker is different than being a middle linebacker. What do you feel is going to be the biggest learning curve for you as a DC? I was fortunate enough. I was a defensive coordinator down south at Cal Poly, and that was in my second year coaching. And you want to talk about a guy who was just trying to stay above water. But when you look back at it, it was probably the best experience I could have had to go through that process. So to come back through again, just, learning from the past, and then, just every day you just try to get better at something. And there's going to be some things where I look back and I will say, yeah, I'm glad I went through that, because now I know how to do it the right way. And that's just life in general. But fortunately, getting to go through it, and then obviously having guys on staff that I can lean on, having guys in both of these countries that I can lean on that have done the job. It's a constant pursuit of trying to get better at your craft. Now, I remember talking to you your few years, you later in your career, Jason. You were pretty honest about this was something you wanted to do, right? Like you wanted to get into coaching. Had you, in the last few years, or maybe your entire career, had you always kind of taken notes about different things, kind of planning? Did you have a coaching notebook before you started or before you retired?
Yeah, you really, it's, you take down notes here and there. I mean, now everything's digital, so it's beautiful. You don't have to carry around notebooks. All that stuff's just saved. But, I think more than anything, I just really, really observed things I liked, things I didn't like. Luckily, I've been around the sport since I was 10, and I've had very good coaches. And obviously, you see things that you want to incorporate. That's been every single stop, even on teams that were not good, on coaches that weren't great. Good, bad, or indifferent, you're always going to learn something. So I knew from little, I just wanted to play as long as I could and then coach it as long as I could. So luckily, I was aware pretty young that football could be over quickly. So make sure you're taking mental notes of what you like.
Yeah, and that's fair. And now Aaron Grimes, former teammate of yours, my understanding is, you talked to Coach Killam. You obviously guys had a little bit of, negotiate, hey, who do we want to have with us? How do you feel Aaron Grimes is going to fit in and, come in? I talked to Aaron about it. He goes, hey, you know what, until you do it, you don't know for sure. He's pretty confident he can do it as the coach of the secondary. Kind of, what do you think are going to be his biggest strengths as a coach?
He's instantly relatable to the room for, how he played, but also his personality. Obviously somebody I wanted to work with. We've known each other since we were young 20s. And then it's just the aspect, he's been around these guys, he's eager, and then he's ready. And that's where, I've been on Zooms with him. Aaron was in my wedding. But at the same time, I would never hire.
Yeah.
I don't care if you were in my wedding. If you're not good at the job, you're going to take us all down. That's just what it is at this level. So to have somebody I trust, and then to get into, he basically went through an interview process with me of watching film, schematics, alignments, techniques, he's ready for the job. And he'll go through his learning curve, like I'll go through a learning curve. But a guy who loves Edmonton, loves the organization, and is talented, that's I feel very fortunate that we have him on our staff.
And Mark Killam, you've coached with him before. Can you give us a sense of his leadership qualities, because he's addressed the team before. I talked to Mark about this, and why you feel he'll be successful as a head coach?
I knew that when I've sat through probably over 100 of his special teams meetings.
Okay.
It's very hard to keep a room locked into special teams. It just is.
Okay.
Because a lot of guys are thinking offensive. I'm an offensive player. I'm a defensive player. He controls a room as good as I've seen, just off his personality. He cares, and players want to play for this guy. Coaches want to coach for him. It's, for me to get that opportunity was special. And I had told my wife that, there were things happening around the league. You don't know how it's going to shake out. But that was something that I talked to my wife about. If Mark gets this job, it's something I really, really want. And I wouldn't say that about other places and certain situations. Just because you don't know certain people, Mark inspires players. It's a new age of football, and you've got to adapt, adjust. He is up for that challenge, and I feel fortunate to be able to be on the staff with him.
JC Sherritt joins us. JC, now as a DC, when you look at your team, the conversations maybe with your GM, we are basically just a month away from free agency. And how much impact do you have with Coach Killam kind of looking to say, hey, maybe these are some guys, we scout certain free agents who we want. I don't expect you to name any names, but how involved are you going to be in that process?
Yeah, I think Coach Killam always it's collaborative. Everything we do is collaborative. So, as a defensive staff, I feel like it's our responsibility to have ideas, have thoughts, provide those ideas and thoughts of where we're at. And then, Coach Killam and Ed are going to obviously take care of the rest. But we're going to get asked our opinions. We'll be prepared to provide them where we're at. And, we're always going to be collaborative in that process.
Yeah, and that's fair. Lastly, I think, or it's close now. Did you and your wife, or are you? Did you just become a dad?
We are 7 days till due date.
Okay, 7. Now, is this your first child,
yeah.
JC?
This is the first one.
Ooh,
yes, sir.
All right. How's Dad holding up? You nervous yet?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're also right in the process of moving to Edmonton, so we got a lot of action right now. But, those are all good things. So.
Well, a veteran football guy having a child in the off season, smart move, and you have lots of time to to have your family here. And just kind of talk. You mentioned you're moving to Edmonton. How excited were you to come back to the city where you really you had most of, if not all of your great CFL success?
Unbelievably excited. I'm a gypsy. I've moved around since I've been little. I've stayed in Edmonton. That's been a city for me as long as anywhere in my lifetime. So it's somewhere I consider, part of my journey. I love Edmonton, and to get to come back, to get a coach, do the job you want. We're very happy. We're very excited. That's all I can say. But we're through the roof because it's a city, obviously, I have nothing but good memories of.
And lastly, JC, you've been coaching before. You mentioned you're a DC down there. Football, I've talked to him, and there's been a little bit, not a lot, but there's been some movement. Some organizations, they almost want to limit the hours. Some coaches can get so wrapped up in it, like you're watching video after video after video, and you're there thinking, geez, I got to work 16 hours because we're missing something. But it's not necessarily effective. What's your thoughts on that? Mark Killam's talked a lot about family being super important. And I don't know, in your coaching career, do you find that maybe sometimes less is more. That, that those extra 2 or 3 hours, sometimes you're not getting any benefit out of it because, you're almost too fatigued from watching film. Has there been a change at all? And where do you come out on the coach and film work?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I was down in the States at the college level, it's depending where you're at, you add the recruiting and the NIL aspect, and it's hours that are they're aggressive. I've always been of the belief once you get your work done, like it's so funny, you preach nutrition and sleep to players, like nutrition and sleep doesn't help coaches be better coaches. I do believe that it does. So I would much rather a coach get his work done, go enjoy his family, get a good night's sleep, and come back energized and ready than be blurry-eyed and confuse himself because he was working till 3 a.m. And I've been down that road where you've confused yourself, and you're probably going to confuse players because you think you figured out the magic formula when really you should have went with your original idea and let everybody play fast.
Yeah. Well, JC, it's always good to talk to you, man. Congratulations on the gig, and best of luck with the birth of your first child. What a moment that's going to be. Enjoy that, and then we'll see you at camp.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
JC Sherritt. So a soon-to-be new dad. Exciting. Big news for them, and you love his philosophy. If you're a fan of the green and gold, aggressive, disrupt the quarterback. Nothing new overly, but that's really there's – you have little wrinkles here or there for sure, right? In how you're going to play and what you want to do. But you got to have guys who just go to the ball, Connor. And certain teams are you get certain guys who are better at consistently going to the ball with kind of smart. I don't want to say reckless abandon because that means you just go over crazy. But those are the defense that win. I've yet to see a passive defense successful in football.
Yeah. And I mean, JC Sherritt was a part of a bunch of them, right? Like going back to that Grey Cup winning defense, the playmakers were all around. They just knew how to get to the football and where to be. And JC Sherritt, obviously a lot of experience, obviously now playing and coaching positionally. Linebackers coach as well, becomes a defensive coordinator. And he's got players on this team that kind of fly to the football. And I think Niles Morgan has to be re-signed. But, guys like that can make plays for this team. And Nick Anderson, another one, we saw him burst on the scene last year. Like he's got some playmakers on the squad to work with. Obviously, free agent's going to play a big part of it, but I'm really intrigued to see what he brings and what he schemes up going into these games against the opposing teams that, trying to slow them down because it would go a long way. We know in the CFL, it doesn't always have to be perfect, but you can just kind of limit the opposing team and, knowing what we know about this Elks offense, they can put up points. But yeah, I really like that hire. Probably wasn't the biggest surprise. We probably saw it coming for a little while, but going to be a fun unit to watch, I think, this upcoming season with JC.
Well, I'm more interested to see what the green and gold does here in free agency leading up to the, when it starts. Because I think it's obvious anybody who watches where they have to improve on defense. They have to improve their interior, their D-line. And really, even their outside, they just lost their best pass rusher to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to, now, doesn't mean he sticks. I'm sure there's an agreement there in place that the Elks let him out of his contract. So if he doesn't stick, there's a loyalty. Now, it's never 100% guaranteed, but man, if you're worth anything as a player, you'll be like, yeah, you know what? This guy's gave me the opportunity to try, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to go back there. And so we'll see, but they're going to have to improve their D-line. No question about it.
Always like the message that sends as well to other free agents. Okay, if I have a good season, this team has a history of letting me out or players out of their contracts to go try, might be a good spot to play.
Yeah, why not? Let's just take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll hear from Darnell Nurse. The Oilers, they get set to take on the Los Angeles Kings, and it should be a slobber knocker of a game because there has been virtually nothing to separate these two teams, and throw in Vegas the last 30 games. You got 3 of the best 4 teams in the NHL residing right here in the Pacific Division, and a grand total of 1 point separating them at any 10-game interval. It's crazy. We'll get to all that and more when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
You've got a go-to coffee spot. a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantor. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at The Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
Attention drivers, it's the Midwinter Tire Clearance Sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Ed has a huge logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance. When you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.247, welcome back. It is game day. Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. TV broadcast will start at 7:30. Puck drop about 10 minutes after. Tonight, Stu Skinner versus Darcy Kemper. Each team will go 11-7. Derek Ryan will come out. Josh Brown will come in as the 7th defenseman tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. Nugent Hopkins will play with McDavid and Hyman. Draisaitl with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Janmark with Henrique and Brown. And then you'll have Kapanen and Perry, who come in ranked 3rd and 4th in goals per 60 amongst Oiler forwards at 5-on-5. Look for them to get a few shifts with the Oilers' top guys. So we'll see what it means. Should be a good game. 2 teams playing well. 2 teams who have played very well for the last 30 games. Like, you got to date back to November. They've been very good. So it should be it should be fun. The Oilers obviously would look for a win. LA would like a win, but if they win, it's probably going to be a low scoring game. Historically, that's kind of how they are. That's the Kings' MO still. It's tough to score on them. The Oilers had a 2-goal lead on December 28th, but lost that game 4-3. So they'll be smarting from that, I'm sure. I also think they'll want a better start. Their last 2 games haven't been great starts against Pittsburgh and Chicago. Now, the Oilers are 10-1 in their last 11 home games, outscoring the opposition 45-25. They've been very good on home ice as of late, so they'll look to continue that. Tonight, then they're on the road for 3 more. Win it. They're in Mini on Wednesday, Colorado Thursday, Vancouver on Saturday. So a good week, a good test for the Edmonton Oilers. It's actually a start of 6 straight games against playoff teams tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll hear from Skinner, that's Stu, Darnell Nurse, and Chris Knoblauch in a second. But first, we get to the 2-minute warning. Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. All of a sudden, your furnace conks out tonight. You need it. You're freezing. No overtime charges. I'll tell you a bit of Legacy at legacyheating.ca.
March 8th. Keep that date in mind, Oilers fans. 8 days in March, so we have plenty of time to see how the Oilers are doing and see what kind of team they will be before the playoffs. March 8th. Christopher and Matthew. Does anyone remember what happened March 8th, 2006? Oilers general manager Kevin Lowe traded for one Dwayne Rollison. The Oilers sneaked into the playoffs and went on a terrific run. And if Rolly the goalie didn't get hurt in the second game of the Stanley Cup Finals against the Carolina Hurricanes, I absolutely believe they would have won their 6th Stanley Cup. Absolutely. I raise this because I am not completely sold on Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard as the goaltending tandem, leading the Oilers to the promised land. Now, is the room for improvement? Absolutely. Can Skinner and Packard shore up their games? Enough for me to be comfortable with them in the playoffs? Absolutely. And honestly, I want that to happen. I want Skinner, the Edmonton kid, and Pickard to be the goaltenders taking Edmonton into the NHL playoffs. I really want that. But if there are concerns about the goaltending of the club, even if it is just a little concern, I would see a trade for a seasoned goaltender. Someone who can add to Corey Perry's experience of the postseason in the dressing room. Something like that is invaluable. Invaluable. Now, if you are someone like me who likes to, every now and then, see history repeat itself, check this out. Guess who Rollison was stopping pucks for before he came to Edmonton? The Minnesota Wild. Right. Now, I get it. The Wild are right in the thick of things and probably wouldn't want to mess with trading any major pieces. Still, wouldn't it be something that, should the Edmonton Oilers trade for a goalie, acquire Marc-Andre Fleury, and to quote Kevin Lowe, expect the unexpected, might try again. Podcast on all your podcast platforms. 2-minute warning with me, Tater, Monday, Friday. Gregor Show, Sports, 1440.
Yeah, zero chance Marc-Andre Fleury's getting traded. He's playing better than right now. He's their best goalie. There is zero chance that he's getting dealt. Now, if you want to find a veteran goalie, so you look, because I know this was asked me over the weekend, and I said, okay, who? Like, I get the theory, but who? Laurent Brossoit is injured. First, and he's not more of a veteran, but he's injured. Some said Mrazek. Yeah, but have you seen Mrazek's contract? Even if Chicago retains it, it's still double. So, I don't think they would be opposed to it at all. I will say, I think Pickard's response after the game in Chicago is why the organization likes him. He came out and was very blunt in his assessment of his game. He says, I was sluggish. He didn't like us playing the first 2 goals at all. No issue on the third one, but just thought he was, in his words, slow. Right? Didn't read react. It was a little kind of just groggy. And that'll happen, I guess, game to game here. The thing is, to get a backup goaltender mid-season, you got to make sure, if you're the Oilers, that the guy you're getting is going to fit in and complement Stuart Skinner very well. Skinner and Pickard get along great. And that does matter at that position. It really does. You want a good, healthy relationship with your backup and your starter. You do. And so you'd have to do a lot of due diligence, ask a lot of questions, and then, okay, find a goalie on a team. Like people say John Gibson. There's no chance, right? Financially, there's no chance. It doesn't make sense. So then you have to look at other teams. Like in the East right now, like the Rangers, no, they're not trading you Jonathan Quick. They still think they can get back in it. Philly doesn't have a goalie that anybody's interested in as an experienced backup. The Islanders with Varlamov, no, they love him there. Pittsburgh. Now, Nedeljkovic, I got to look up what his contract status is. I guess he might be 1 potentially. His numbers haven't been great in Pittsburgh, so well, who knows? but there aren't a lot of them. That's the thing, right? Like the theory of, hey, I want to get a better backup in theory. Okay. But then who's it going to be? Nedeljkovic makes almost as much as Stu Skinner. And Stu Skinner is going to be your main guy for a bit. So you bring Nedeljkovic in next year. Well, now he's, 2.5 times what you're paying Pickard right now. So I'd probably guess no to that. Montreal, no. Detroit, they're right in it all of a sudden. Todd McClellan, they're rolling. They've won 7 in a row. Now, as we get closer to the deadline, it might be something you can look at, right? You get to March 1st, coming out a week after the Four Nations, you might have a better sense of who's there or who's not. The one team that I wouldn't be surprised to look to add a goalie is Columbus. Like, Columbus is winning and staying in the race despite goaltending. Like, look at the amount of goals they give up. And it's not necessarily their team defense. Their shots, they're not getting murdered. They're not getting enough saves from their goaltenders right now. So there's not a lot of starters out there. But I would, Jonathan Quick isn't available unless the Rangers are out of it. Otherwise, they're going to keep him. Right? The Oilers aren't, people talking about big name starters. The Oilers aren't going to go out and get a starter. Stuart Skinner is one of the best value starters in the NHL. And in a salary cap world, that matters. So it's not going to happen. Hey guys, what about Brossoit? He can just stay on LTIR. Yeah, okay, but then when he comes back, he hasn't played all year long. Is that the guy you want in the playoffs? A goalie who hasn't played all year? So I'm not sure, how that helps you. Hey, Gregor, do you think the Oilers are going to re-sign Eugene Lewis? I would probably err on no. The market for receivers getting big money, like the contract that Gino's coming off of, I don't think it's going to be out there. So, I would say very slim chance that Gino Lewis resigns or gets an extension and a new deal in Edmonton. I'd be surprised. I think he's going to go to market. And I think there'll be teams that are willing to pay more than it's salary cap stuff. I think the Elks' focus is going to be improving their defensive line first. And that's where they're probably going to spend more money. Now, Ed Hervey, a former receiver himself, on record has said it many times. You can find receivers. He feels that there's more. It's easier to go out and find receivers than it is some other positions. And so, they've got some receivers they like on their roster already. And Eugene Lewis, I'd be very surprised to see what happens. Hey guys, do you think the Oilers are willing to bring up Olivier Rodrigue and see how he does? Don't we need to know what we have him in? He's been great in the AHL. The thing is, how do you bring him up, right? I guess maybe you could bring him up very late. Right now, if there's an injury, for sure, you could do it. But if it's not, how do you get him up or down? Right? That's the question I have for the. How do you do it? Right? Like the Oilers, you're definitely not going to do it before the deadline because they don't want to expose Pickard and then lose him on waivers for nothing. Then what happens? Olivier Rodrigue, like, you want to go in with a raw rookie as your backup? Like, I don't think so. So I don't know how they get him an opportunity this year. If I'm being honest, I don't see how you do it. That's probably the risk and the challenge, right? And he's having good numbers, but they're not out of this world. Like a 914 in the American League isn't like world beaters. Usually you got to be a minimum 920 guy. And he's never been that. So I don't know if I think people who get in love with prospects value him more than what he actually is at this point. So I don't see it. So 259 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox. Sean Brown will join us coming up next hour. We're also going to hear from Darnell Nurse talking about the Kings. Also, it is Connor McDavid's birthday today. Any prank gifts you get McDavid? Darnell Nurse had an interesting answer to that. they laughed about something that they just can't do anymore, then maybe they should. Maybe they should bring it back. We'll get to that and more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Here's a con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Stop in at Fountain Tire right now, and the mid-winter tire clearance is on, where you can get 20% off in-stock winter tires, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. Check out fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It is game day. The Edmonton Oilers in action tonight, hosting the LA Kings down at Rogers Place. Puck drop 7:30. Our pregame coverage with Andrew Walker. Norman Paulson gets going at 6 right here on Sports 1440. Two other games tonight. At 5, the Flyers take on the Panthers. And at 5:30, the Flames in Chicago. In the NFL, round 1 of the playoffs wrap up tonight down in Arizona as the Rams taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Kickoff 6 o'clock in that one. In the association, rematch of the 2019 NBA Finals. The Raptors and Warriors meeting in Toronto. You also have the Knicks, Pistons, Timberwolves in Washington. Rockets up against the Grizz. Spurs take on the Lakers, and the Clippers hosting the Heat. Coming up in hour number 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host and former NHLer, Sean Brown. Also, we'll head to LA and be joined by Dennis Bernstein of the Fourth Period. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Is it Riverside Motorsports?
No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthew. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you at Crystal Glass, with the perfect glass for any job, from home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs. We're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game. But out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction, because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously, and even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Diablo Boots in Canada West, the two best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save on Foods.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough. When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Jaffa Machinery. Jaffa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit jaffamachinery.com for all the details.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's after 3 o'clock. It's just coming down for the green and gold. They have signed Martez Ivy to a 2-year extension. He, of course, was their team's most outstanding lineman in both 23 and 24. 6'6" tackle comes in. Been pretty good blocker. So that's a big signing for the green and gold on the O-line to bring him back. They also signed Jonathan Kongbo. Now, Kongbo did not play last year. But of course, he was a 5th overall pick back in 2019 in the CFL draft. Did play for the Broncos in 2022. Also played, it was kind of on the practice roster, a little bit with Dallas and some other teams. So, it's a guy with, who knows? We'll see. D-lineman, as we've talked about, they need some help there. But as Canadian, it's huge, 6'4", 260. So look for them to, I think, bring in lots of guys. And you want some experience. He's got some CFL experience, got a little bit of NFL experience. Maybe he's hungry after the year off. We'll see. It's the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50. You'll get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. As we welcome back to the show, John Brown joins us on Mondays. Brownie, how you doing?
Good to be back. Nice little break.
Yeah, we just had to reteach everything.
I know.
Turn your phone off. Lean into the microphone. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while, but happy to be back.
How was your holidays?
It was really good. Yeah. I guess I hadn't talked to you before Christmas or anything like that, right? So. Christmas was, it was great. I don't think we could have had a better Christmas. It was nice to spend time. My son came home and, we spent a lot of family time. Nice little balance between, spending time with us and his girlfriend. And New Year's was great. Just like everyone else ate and probably drank too much and, now trying to burn it off and my son had a couple tournaments, one in Palm Springs. So I had a chance to get out there and watch him play. I ran into an old friend, Derek Laxdal, who's coaching in the American Hockey League. So I got to catch the American Hockey League game in Coachella Valley. So yeah, it's nice. Now we're just back in the grind of minor hockey, and minor hockey week is going on now. So it's pretty exciting for a lot of teams playing in that tournament.
How has he found the adjustment to college hockey?
There's a lot. It's a lot, managing, he took a year off of school. So getting back in that routine, manage, I think a lot of it is just time management, right? But I think he's adjusting well. A lot of it, to be honest with you, is on him, right? There isn't a whole lot of babysitting here. We're not there. They're grown men now and they have a lot of responsibility. And, but I think that's, I've noticed, I guess I noticed a little bit of a difference. I felt like when he came back, with his maturity. So he's loving it. Nice team. It's good organization. It's a nice program, and I think they're all probably pretty similar as far as they don't share their rink with minor hockey rinks, right? So they have a ton of ice, an opportunity to get on the ice for development. So that's always nice. They spend a lot of time, obviously, with their schedule in the gym, which is really good for someone like him that probably needs to spend a little bit more time on getting in the gym, getting stronger. There's I think playing against older, bigger, stronger players, right? Playing against basically men, 23, 24, 25. Like, I went down and seen them, and there's some big guys, and they're men. They look like men. So that's an adjustment too. But I from a parent's point of view, like just watching how they coach, how they hold him accountable, how they deal with his mistakes, and use them, I guess, and try to put them in situations. I don't think I couldn't be more impressed with what he's getting. And when he doesn't get something, they're pretty clear on, communicating it. The practices and the drills they use, I think, are good for not only him, but as a whole, as a team, for them to all get better. So yeah, I'm happy.
Well, it was more about him, not you, but I'm glad to hear that you're happy. How's Dad doing? Like, how are you handling it?
Oh, yeah. This is all about me, isn't it? His whole career is about me. No, yeah. You know what? He just sounds really happy. He sounds happy. I know that, this game can be uncomfortable, and I'm sure he has uncomfortable moments where he's growing, but
it needs to be uncomfortable.
He isn't calling to come home. Let's put it that way. So, looking at we did have a chance to go down in the summer, and, the setup that they have, like these kids, like their dress rooms are just incredible now, right? Like just what they have access to and how well they treat them. They got a golf simulator in there. They got a shooting target, like an electronic, or, where sends the puck out. Like, you're not even picking up your pucks anymore, right? So he spends a lot of it's kind of like a shooting lane. Shoot it in the net, right? And it kicks it back. Oh yeah, it's I've seen them before. I think there's some skill development facilities here that have something similar to it. So yeah, it's all there for these kids, especially when you get to those levels. Like, if you want to be a player, so many programs now have it basically set up so that, here, the guesswork, I think, is, when I played and when you played, there wasn't as much communication, right? So at times, depending on how well the organization or team communicated with you, you were kind of sometimes left with your own devices of trying to figure it out, where now there's so much communication. If you're willing to put in the work, it's basically, here's what you got to do.
Yeah. Edmonton Oilers tonight against the LA Kings. So I broke down the numbers. There has been virtually like no separation amongst the top three teams in the Pacific Division. Right now, Vegas is up 6 points on the Oilers. Edmonton has a game in hand, and you could really argue that 6 points came from the first 3 games of the season. That's it, honestly. Since in the last 30 games, the Oilers and Vegas are identical records: 28 losses, 2 ties, 42 points. LA has 41 points. You go to the last 20 games, Edmonton has 31, Vegas has 30, LA has 30. Oh, well, let's go to last 10. Edmonton 15, Vegas 14, LA 14. That's it. So you're not getting anything over a 10 point, it's 1 point. Over 20 points, it's 1 point. 30 points, 30 games, it's no points. Obviously, at some point, if you're Edmonton, you want to creep up to Vegas. Now, if they win tonight, they would be within 4 points of Vegas, same amount of games. And they would create a little bit of separation against LA. It's a big game. And both teams are going 11-7. I know lots of guys don't love 11-7. The two forwards, they don't get as much ice time, maybe not. Although I don't know if Corey Perry's going to play that much less than he normally does, to be honest. And in fact, Perry and Kapanen might love this because they're 3rd and 4th on the Oilers in goals for 5-on-5. Goals for per 60 and minutes played for the amount of goals they score. It's actually really good production. So tonight, because usually when Edmonton played 11-7 under Woodcroft, they'd have 4 centers and they would just rotate up. Well, tonight they only have 3. So McDavid, Draisaitl, Henrique get a little extra time with Perry and Kapanen probably. So I think that part's a good thing. Like, I watched Josh Brown's last 2 games. I didn't notice him good or bad, really. Like, actually, I noticed him in his first shift against Boston, had a great chance, couldn't score. But other than that, like, kind of whatever. I know that Josh Brown is not going to be the answer for the Oilers. I know that. Doesn't move the puck well enough, doesn't skate well enough, all those sorts of things. But for the odd game here, there, like I watched LA against, I thought LA kind of pushed Edmonton around in that game in LA. And then anybody who watched that game, LA and the Flames, it was quite aggressive on Saturday night. And I think this Knobloch says, okay, am I going to go Derek Ryan? Because he wants to play Janmark on that third line with Henrique and Brown. So do I keep Derek Ryan in, or I'll go with Josh Brown? We have some size just in case. We have some toughness just in case. And then our centers can play a few more shifts. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
And I think it's proven in the last game when you have the opportunity to play your two best players, it's never a bad thing. And I think, like you said, for some of the different wingers, when you get an opportunity to play with Connor McDavid, you can see the line juggling that Chris Knobloch did, against Chicago. It's paid off. And I think, the one thing that the Oilers are probably lacking a little bit is in that toughness, right? And that's what Josh Brown brings. I think I would agree with you. I mean, there's times that, I don't know how comfortable he looks. I mean, it is a big jump from the American Hockey League. And I love the whole idea of why they brought them up. It's like, hey, we got this guy signed. He's on a one-way deal. Like, let's see what we got. Maybe with some more games and, put in some situations where he can succeed. Maybe there is something more to his game as he gets more comfortable that we're eventually going to see. It has been a relatively small window, but having his toughness in the lineup, I think, is important. But I also think when you put guys like that in the lineup, and they're used as the seventh defenseman, the other team, you're not going to get a whole lot of engagement, necessarily coming from a guy that's not going to be playing either. Right. So, I think you have to be, the key for that guy to be in that role, to be physical, hard to play against. And for someone, to being, that's going to engage someone else on the other team, you have to play. You know what I mean? They have to know that, if you're only going to get out there 2 or 3 shifts, it's going to be, not a whole lot of guys are going to engage with someone like that. But, they clearly need some, they need that physical presence in their lineup, whether, they acquire that like through the deadline. But having a big guy like that should, also make other guys, play a little bit tougher in the lineup as well.
I don't think it ever hurts having that, for sure. Brown doesn't play enough. That's why I think it's hard to impact the game when you only play 7 or 8 minutes. I don't care who you are. If you're a skilled guy, if you're a tough guy, so it's physical. But I'm curious. If they had a fourth line center, I'd be curious if you ever took a shift on the wing. Right? Like, we've seen lots of defensemen do that, but because they don't have a fourth line center and you've got Kapanen and Perry, I don't see any chance that Brown's going to take like a shift for Perry or Kapanen. It doesn't make any sense to me. So it's only going to be where they kind of slide him and Stetcher in on the blue line.
And it's always, you're just happy, or at least I was happy, just to kind of get in the lineup any opportunity that you could. But it does make it tough, right? I mean, because the top guys are going to, you Bouchards and Ekholms and your top guys are going to get their minutes, right? But it does make it tough to get into a game, and when there's really no rhythm, and you're more or less just kind of given, you're giving your top guys kind of a breather. It's hard to get in there and, like you said, and have any type of impact. But it's, more often than not, a lot of guys have to, are dealt with that situation. And, until you can kind of prove yourself that you have a little bit more to offer and deserve a little bit more, this is kind of what you got. Can he find a way? I mean, just the fact that you're getting in there gives you a chance to find a way to try and be impactful in some way.
Yeah. Jason Gregor Show on Browns Sports 1440. You look at the Oilers, and we're under 8 weeks now, under 2 months away from the NHL trade deadline. And I think a fourth line center is obviously something they're looking to upgrade. We know about the defense, maybe to try to add some grit on the wings. With Vander came, we got an update. Like, he's not coming back for the regular season. We'll see if he's ready at some point in the playoffs. But if you're the coach and you wanted to see Noah Phil, it's got to be 10 games, does it not, to get any sort of sense? And to me, I think it would be 10 games before the 4-nation break. I don't want to wait, because I come out of the break. I think the Oilers, they come back on the 22nd. I think they've got 6 games before the trade deadline. Like, I don't think that's enough time. Like, if you're going to give Noah Philp an audition, it has to be coming before the end of this month.
I would think, I agree with you. I think that, timing is everything too, right? I mean, you're not going to necessarily bring a guy up when the team is struggling. So, obviously, the last game, was a lot better than the one previous to that, but, they kind of have their legs underneath them and they look really good. They look good, as individuals. It looks like they're all buying into how they have to play to make the team successful. Tactically, all four lines and all the they look good. They look good in all three different zones and in the detail and the execution that they're playing in. That I think bringing a guy in a situation when things are, looking and guys are feeling as confident as they're feeling, this probably wouldn't be the worst time to kind of bring a guy in while everyone's feeling great about their game to kind of see where he fits in. But yeah, bringing him up and down, it's tough to get a real read. I think if you can, I think the whole idea was to send him down there and help him try and find his game because he's taken a year off. But it sounds like to me he's taking strides in that. I love Derek Ryan. We've talked about it before. I mean, he's a great professional and he's had an amazing career, and you know what you're going to get in him. But I think if you're able to bring a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit younger, and that youthful energy and enthusiasm, I think it could only help the Oilers. They need some size. When you watch Derek Ryan, he's got the heart of a lion and he'll get in there, but he's not, size matters, right? And when he gets in there, you can see that I can't imagine him being too hard to play against, even though that he's still going to get involved physically.
Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Coming up, Dennis Bernstein will give us the LA Kings side of things. What's going wrong with their power play? Because it is on the escalator down. This has been brutal here for the last month. Why? It's not even close. Last year, they were 22.6%. Pretty good. This year, hovering near the bottom of the NHL. Can they fix it? We'll find out next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Just when the weather is raising your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak and chicken paninis, topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle, grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
I'm Rick Showers from Noble RV. And I'd like to thank all the people who buy new RVs. Buying your RV new is the most generous thing you can do to help your fellow man. Every year, thousands of people just like you go to the RV show or walk into a new RV store, pay full price, take great care of it like you always do, and then eventually sell it to us. And of course, we pay you market value for your used RV.
But that's tens of thousands less than you paid for it.
That's right, Bob. Could be half of what you paid for it when it was new. and it's still in great shape. So who gets the benefit of that reduced value? Our customers, that's who.
Noble customers never pay full price for an RV because we only buy used.
Right again, Bob. So we'll enjoy the same RV you have now, only we pay like half as much. And it's only possible because you generously decided to pay that higher price when you bought it. So thanks again to all the new RV buyers, and we'll see you in a few years.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.325, welcome back. Game day, Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. Jason Gregor, John Brown with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play. Good luck, NFL Monday Nighter. It's the last Monday Night Football game of the year for the National Football League, and it has the Rams hosting the Vikings. Vikings better record, but they didn't win their division, so they are the number 5 seed tonight. The winner of this game will be traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles next Sunday. We know the schedule for next weekend. It'll be the 1 seeds, KC hosting Houston, and then Detroit hosting Washington on Saturday. And then you have the Ravens and the Bills. What a matchup that should be. And of course, the Eagles will find out tonight who they're going to play. I think it's going to be the Vikings, but we'll see. Tonight, though, what I do know for sure is we are going to get the Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And right now, the showdown menu is here. The Big Mac David, the double Big Mac. You can get the quarter pounder spicy poppy in honor of Austin Matthews, the triple cheeseburger, and a few other special burgers and a sundae, but only for a limited time, including poutine right now at McDonald's. And a good friend of the show from the fourth period, longtime reporter, both the Kings and the entire NHL, Dennis Bernstein, joins us once again. DB, how you doing, my man?
We're hanging here in Los Angeles, JG. It's great to talk to you again. And another close game. You ran down all the stats about these two teams. I'll be honest. I've already made my reservations at the JW for late April. This is going to happen. It's going to be round 4.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Hey, before we get to hockey, there's much serious things, more serious things going on. Obviously, you're in your home, so you're okay. But how can you give us a sense of just the feeling and everything in Los Angeles right now with all the horrible fires going on?
Yeah, a lot of tragedy, a lot of depression. And we were probably only maybe 15 kilometers from the evacuation zone. So we were close. But the first responders, the firefighters have done an amazing job here in Los Angeles. The biggest one, the Palisades fire, which is the closest one to us, there's really no visible signs of any flames right now. There's no smoke in the air or anything like that. So it's going to be another difficult 36 hours because of the winds they're kicking up again. But the work that they've done to save more tragedy from happening has been incredible. But it's tragic. It's muted. It's, the day all this started to happen, they were going to release the Kings quarter century team. That's been put on hold. It's a difficult time. I have possibly 2 friends that have lost homes. It's a tragedy, and it was something that I think could have been helped and been a little bit more preventable than all that devastation that you've seen. So it's a difficult time now, Jason. And sometimes I agree with you. This is much more serious than sports, but sometimes sports gives us a refuge.
Oh, yes.
So you can escape a couple of hours. If you watch the Rams game, if you're in Los Angeles, or Kings and Oilers tonight, which should be another game. So hopefully after the next 36 hours, you can really focus here on rebuilding Los Angeles, the parts that were devastated by the fires.
Yeah, and I guess the only good news about this, the Kings are on the road. They did postpone the one game. They'll make that up later.
Yes.
You know, they've been on the road in Winnipeg and Calgary. They're Edmonton tonight. Then they got Vancouver and Seattle. Right now, everything you're understanding is their next home game against Pittsburgh is still scheduled. That's going to happen.
Yeah, I would assume so. So something really going terribly wrong here in the next, like I said, next couple of days, but that's going to happen. And most of the players live, by the beach, where that part of the beach wasn't affected, Manhattan Beach, or most of the beach, Manhattan Beach, they live there. So nobody I know has been affected with respect to the team, but it's, it's still hard to focus. I mean, you go on the ice with the patch LA Fire Department on there. So it was, I'm sure the first couple of days were really, really difficult, and but we'll see. But you know what? I don't think there's any problem focusing on an Edmonton Oilers team that this team has not had a lot of success at over the last 3 seasons.
Definitely in the playoffs. Dennis Bernstein joined us. So you look at it tonight, both teams going with 11-7. Now the Kings doing a little bit out of necessity. They don't got a lot of healthy bodies around that team right now. The Oilers are just going to sit out Skinner and Ryan. They want a little bit bigger team. They felt like the Kings were definitely kind of pushed them around a little bit in that game in LA. And then on Saturday, the Flames and the Kings really kind of got into it a few times, a few tilts, which, I'm not against at all. If you look at LA and kind of how everything's changed, like they're no 1-3-1 anymore. Their format's same, but they're still like their identity's still the same, right? They're tied with the Jets as the best goals against. What's up with their power play, DB? Like it's getting worse. Like last year was pretty decent at 22%, and I looked at like their shot rates are virtually the same from last year to this year. The one guy and I looked at Drew Doughty to Brant Clark, and I don't see much of a difference between those two guys in production on or off the ice from last year to this year. Fiala's goal scoring's down for sure, but it's like it's funny. I looked at Dubois scored 7 power play goals last year, got split, and they really haven't replaced that. They nobody to come in and replace his goals. How come? What's up? What's up with the PP? What's not working?
Well, the centers aren't being productive. If you combine Byfield, Kopitar, and Danault, they have 4 power play goals through half the season. That's not good enough. And look, you wouldn't expect Kopi's a power play merchant, so that's okay. 1 from Byfield, and Danault, as much as I like Phil, and he's still a lead in the room, he's lost a step, Jason. Yeah. Like he's a 3C right now. Like the 2C is Byfield. I think that's it. And something new coming to the season they haven't addressed. Maybe they addressed the deadline. They don't have a right shot presence. Like they did have one a couple seasons ago, but they traded Gabe Velarde. Right, that was the one guy on the right side. They don't have that threat on that side of the ice, and it becomes predictable. And yes, I think there is a difference between Drew Doughty and Brant Clark on the power play. Brant hasn't been as productive. Like he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be as top in as Quinn Hughes or McCarr from a production standpoint. Maybe it's 50. I think they missed Drew on the shot on the power play because while he's an effective player, Brant Clark on the power play, he doesn't have a big shot. He's more the facilitator. He's more the Quinn Hughes, like the guy who's going to make the pass and make the play and have great vision. I think they missed Drew's shot from the point, and they definitely missed it. So when they talk about what might happen at the trade deadline, look, if the Islanders are full out of it, I'd go get Kyle Palmieri. Like on the right side, a guy who's a proven veteran, could score on the power play. That they missed that. But you're right, Jason. They have 14 power play goals. There's only one team that has less power play goals than them, the Islanders. And that's going to be a problem in the playoffs. How do they address it? I don't know. The personnel isn't good enough. Warren Fogle has been great for this team. Warren Fogle, he's an even strength guy. He's not a power play guy. He has no power play goals. So I think it's a combination of the center's not being productive enough. I think the personnel overall isn't really what you need on a number one power play. And I think they missed Drew's presence on the blue line with respect to his shot and his productivity.
So, Dennis, where are we at with Drew Doughty? And when he comes back, like where does he and how does that fit? And how does that place guys in better situations for this team moving forward?
Yeah, so I joked with Jim Hiller a couple of games ago, post game. I said, Drew's coming back, and your defense is playing so great. Is it going to be hard to slot Drew in somewhere? Not that he wouldn't slot him in. I assume he would go back with Mikey Anderson, because the one guy who's been phenomenal, and it's good for him because he's on an expiring deal, is Gavrikov. Gavrikov's playing 23 minutes a night on his offside, and he's actually helped Anderson play better on the left side. So, yeah, Drew's going to fit in on top here. I assume you'd see Gavrikov and Spence. I don't think they break up Clark and Edmondson. And to Jason's point about something, he mentioned the last game. here in Los Angeles about how the Kings were a little bit more intimidated. That's why it's one of the reasons they lost the last couple of rounds, because they got bullied by the Oilers. And this team will not get bullied. It's going to be very, very different. Will they be better with Drew Doughty? Of course they will, right? But Edmonton's great. And it's funny, I talked about this team's a little different, guys. It's a little more edgy. I got a text from one of the players after a game, and then I followed up with guys like Trevor Moore. One of the reasons this team is not as frail or is not as passive is the presence of Western Canadian hockey players on the roster. And I was shocked when one player told me, I said, maybe he's one guy's opinion. But then went to, so guys like Edmondson, guys like Kemper, guys like Jeannot. Kyle Burrows plays 7 minutes a night. I will tell you guys, he is beloved in that room, and he's been there half a season. Like the character of these players, it's just the resolve that they have, their attitude toward the game and approach to the game. It's made them a tougher team. So they're not going to get, like, if it is the Oilers and Kings in round 4, they're not going to be pushed around. And you guys said it. Josh Brown's the reason, because they saw that. That's a big difference in this team. But you're right about one thing, Sean. This team hasn't changed much. They check for their chances. They're going to play great defense. They're scoring less than they did last season, and yet they're a better team. So that's going to be so the DNA of this team has not changed. Would I like to see that improve at the play at the trade deadline, getting a more offensive player on the right side that has a right shot? I would, but it's not going to be a big move for Rob Blake if he does it.
I was going to ask you, DB, because I know you've probably already started looking. LA, Vegas, and Edmonton, it's crazy. The last 10 games, 20 games, 30 games, there's been no separation. They've been 3 of the top 4 teams in the league. It's been really good. The Oilers need a right shot defense on their second pair. The Kings would like a right shot scoring guy. And neither one is just like, they're not like they're just falling off trees and you can go gladly pick one. But if you look around, like, does Trent Frederick make any sense to you for LA? Like, I know he's not a top 6 guy, but he's got some scoring ability, or do they look higher like that? Like, does Palmieri have anything left? What do you think of guys they might target?
I think Palmieri has something left. Frederick, they have guys like that, right? That they have that, like, what he's gonna. I don't need a net front presence guy because they got more size on this team this season. I need a shooter, a finisher. Like, that's what they need. So I think that would be the type of player that you would look at. And you're right about one thing, Jason. You look around the league. Because all these teams, because of 2 teams, because of Nashville and the Rangers, all these teams that are mediocre, I think they got a shot at that second wild card. So all these teams that you would think would be selling right now, like, Montreal's an anomaly. I don't know how they're doing it. It's just crazy. Like, these teams that you think will be a seller right now, if you want to do a deal right now, they're not selling. Like, Columbus is not selling right now, which is crazy. Like, there's so many teams in the thick of it, so I don't see a lot of it right now. It would certainly be a seller's market. If you did have a player you want to put in the market, I think there's probably 5 or 6 teams for those type of players that you have, takers for right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see who decides to sell. Now, as we get closer to the deadline, some of these teams are going to fall out. But right now, it's going to be difficult to acquire those type of players.
So when you look at Quentin Byfield and you look at, when he come into the league and where he's at now, and it takes everyone a little bit of time, but he seems like he's obviously doing very well. What have you seen and who's kind of impacted his development, and what do you think of his development since you've?
Well, I think that Hur's done a nice job. Now, there's been regression in this game from a scoring standpoint, absolutely. But there was a game a couple of weeks ago where he made a great play against the Rangers in Madison Square Garden. It was behind the back, through the legs path. And believe it or not, even though he had a great season last year, he had 20 goals, 35 assists, he had a confidence issue. And the other thing about this guy, he's not like that Ranger game. He decided to turn into the alpha dog he was last year, where he's not thinking about making the pass or being the facilitator of Fogle or Jeannot. He's got to take the shot. If it's a 2-on-1, you're coming down with Fogle, as good as Fogle's been with him, and the chemistry's been really good, he's got to take the shot. He's been more aggressive. The key with Quentin, though, he's now on the penalty kill. He's now going to face Connor McDavid more 5-on-5. He's going to face Leon Draisaitl. They're not going to shelter him. Like, he's going out and playing these players now because he's big, he's fast, he's speedy, and he gets that there's the other side of the ice he's got to play. Yeah, he's got to be a productive offensive player. But the growth I've seen from him defensively, 5-on-5 and on the penalty kill, has been, it's going to help this team in the playoffs. Would you like to see him scoring more? Yeah. Do I think he will score more in the second half? If he thinks shoot first, here's the thing, Jason and Sean. He's not Connor McDavid center. He should be an Austin Matthews center. What does that mean? Shoot first. Keep shooting. He's got it, and he's got a good shot. He doesn't use it enough. And that's because he's had to be deferential. Remember, last year he was on a line with Kopitar and Kempe. Of course, he's going to defer to those guys. He's got to be the alpha dog on that line. I think you'll see more of it in the second half.
Dennis Bernstein joins us from the fourth period, talking LA Kings are in town to take on the Oilers tonight. And I love how you break that down because, some guys, they struggle with, well, geez, I got to pass to my teammates and everything. And the best scorers have a level of selfishness that's good for the team and good for them. Yes. And it seems like he's got to create more of that.
Yeah. And it's funny because, look, Fogle, and I'm sure you guys miss him up there to some extent. I know he was around with the players this morning at the morning scene, and everybody said hi. But I asked Warren, why is the chemistry working between these two guys that you wouldn't really put together, probably in training camp? Because they're from the same part of Toronto, like they know each other from back in the day, and they can have and Warren said really have honest conversations about what needs to happen on the ice. And you can't always do that with players. Like, what's going on in Vancouver? You think they're talking about, we need to be better at each other and stuff like that. So I think the chemistry that was formed because there's a respect between these two players, I think that's gone a long way because, again, I didn't have that on my bingo card, Fogle and Byfield, as a productive offensive team pairing coming into this season. So it's good to see. So I think that's part of it as well.
One last one for you, Dennis. You look at LA and, that it hasn't been a good matchup against Edmonton. And I think we saw last year in the playoffs. Playoff success is a lot of times about matchup. As the Winnipeg Jets, it was an awful matchup, and they just got steamrolled.
We did.
How's the Kings matchup against Vegas? Is that a better matchup for them?
Well, it's better travel. So I think that's it. I think there's I'm not sure if there's more hatred between the Kings and Oilers or Kings in Vegas, but it's close. I think that it would look when you lose 3 times in a row. Wouldn't you rather take a chance against Vegas than Edmonton? Because Edmonton hasn't structurally changed, and they go get a second pair defenseman. It's going to be the same story over and over again. Those will be closely contested. I think it would be a 6 or 7 game series. It depends on the health. If you're telling me that Mark Stone is at 100%, and maybe Perangelo isn't, so they might have a better chance. And I just think that the matchup, it goes back to special teams, Jason. Yeah. So I think that the odds would be better for LA to play Vegas because I know they wouldn't be possibly overrun on the special teams, which could happen again. Now, their penalty kill's been better, so I might take more of a chance. But three times is 4th time the term. I don't know. I might want to take my chances with Vegas in the first round as opposed to Edmonton.
The Kings penalty kill was actually good last year, except against Edmonton. Like it's mind blowing how Edmonton's clearly figured it out, right? Like it was 3 separate years, 36%, 56%, 45%. Yeah. Like it's mind blowing good again. And I really, you've been around long enough. Like a lot of LA's main guys are there. And if you get into game 1 of the playoffs, the Oilers power play goes 1 for 2 or 1 for 3, you're thinking, oh my God, here we go again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, Darry coming back would change that as well. And not for nothing, if this Darcy Kemper gets to the playoffs, they got a shot. They got a shot at having a better penalty kill because he's been the key with Rittich to a lesser extent. They get big saves from them early in games.
Okay.
That's why they win all these close games, Jason. I think they've lost 2 1-goal games in regulation because they get big saves from the guys early. So, Rittich's numbers aren't great, but Darcy's really good. If Darcy can stay healthy, and that's a big if, Jason, because he's been on the injured list twice already in half the season. He's a better option than what they've had in the last 3 seasons in that.
Yeah.
And if he plays at this level, maybe have a better opportunity. But we'll see. But you're right. They figured it out. And we'll see again tonight what's going to happen. It probably comes down to special teams. But, yeah, if we go to the end of this regular season on these 4 games and you still have a 30-35% conversion rate for the Oilers in the power play, then, yeah, you'd want to play the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round.
DB, as always, man, great stuff. We look forward to it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Always great being on Sports 1440, Jason. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
You betcha. That is Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period in LA. Absolute great dude, man. Real good dude. Loves hockey, knows the Kings, knows the league. And I like what he said about Byfield. Like, Brandon, you played in the league, right? Like, it might sound odd, but it's hard to convince yourself to kind of be the guy sometimes in the NHL, right? Like, it's easy to be, well, geez, I got to give it to this guy. I got to make sure that everybody's happy. And it's a nice thing, but it's also one where it can actually be detrimental to your team. Because anybody who watched him, did you see Byfield's shot against the Oilers on the 28th? Like, it's an absolute bomb. Like, he can fire the puck. Why is I looked at he has 11 shots, Brownie, on the power play this year. 11. That's brutal. It's not enough. You got to shoot the puck.
Yeah, it is tough for anyone, right? I can think back to when I came in the league, and you grow up watching these guys, and then all of a sudden you're coming into the league and you're kind of like, you just have them on such a pedestal, and it's hard to get over that and to think, wow, you know what, like this is a job and I got to compete and I got to be confident enough to, take their ice time away. And I think everyone kind of goes through that. But the one thing I did notice when I was in the league is that, those types of players mentally that had that, I don't even want to say arrogance or confidence, that inner confidence in themselves, like that was a separator. And you could see, whether it was, Mike Comrie or Joe Thornton, Scott Gomez, like those guys respected, the players that, before them and the players that they played with, but they had so much confidence in themselves. And it's hard. I'm telling you, man, this game is so mental, so much of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing whether, you're coaching youth hockey or at all the different levels. You can see that, what confidence does to a player and what confidence does to a player when they don't have it is completely different. But that, a lot of that too is the environment too. And you're having your veteran players, that have, that maturity and that ability to make those guys that are skilled, that like to handle the puck a little bit more, that maybe want to, try and do a little bit more than the average hockey player. Like it comes along, it goes a long way when those guys have those conversations to make them feel comfortable to be like, hey man, you see that shot, take it. Or, there's nothing worse than that teammate that's, you don't move them the puck or you don't do exactly what they want. And they're kind of giving you the old side eye. That's not a great feeling. Right. So much of that is mental. And, it's honestly the difference between, being great and kind of being average, and everyone's got to kind of find their way with that. But, he's clearly a guy that has that the skill and ability to, do more than what an average player does. It's just, can you consistently believe in yourself?
Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We'll come back. We'll hear from Darnell Nurse, Knobloch, as well as Stuart Skinner as the Oilers get set to take on the LA Kings. And we're having a debate. Did Yeso Puljujärvi get a tribute video when he came back to Edmonton? Yes or no? 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Call Legacy. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Every nickel that you don't pay in interest is a nickel back in your pocket. So make a 0% interest deal with your friends at St. Albert Dodge. Right now, you can drive away in Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the 2025 Ram 1500, with 0% financing. There's a great selection, over 100 on the lot. Or if you'd like to get some cash back to pay off your credit cards and start the year fresh, they can help you with that too. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthew. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Edmonton, get ready to step up your shoe game. The all-new Skechers store is opening its doors at West Edmonton Mall. Join us on January 17th for a grand opening celebration you won't want to miss. We're talking great savings, giveaways, and a special guest appearance. Hockey fans, meet the one and only Paul Biz Nasty Bizanet from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for the first 1,000 customers, we've got a commemorative puck and performance water bottle. But wait, there's more. During our grand opening, enjoy 30% off all footwear and 50% off apparel. From performance shoes to stylish sneakers, we've got it all for the entire family. Your perfect pair of Skechers is waiting for you at West Edmonton Mall. Don't miss out on the biggest shoe event of the year. Skechers at West Edmonton Mall. Grand opening January 17th. Be there.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Get the Slapshot Special. Add a 2-liter Pepsi product to a large one-topping pizza and garlic Parmesan breadsticks and bundle it for only $25.99. Use promo code hockey24 at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Monday afternoon. How are you? Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show. Sean Brown, Connor Halley, the Oilers taking on the Los Angeles Kings tonight. Also, NFL playoff action. You have the Minnesota Vikings in Arizona taking on the LA Rams. Of course, that game was moved to Arizona due to the Palisades fires in Los Angeles, so they will play there tonight. And the winner will move on and be the 8th team left in the NFL playoffs. You have 4, KC, Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston in the AFC, and you have the Lions, the Eagles, the Commanders, and we'll find out if it's the Vikings or the Rams tonight. The winner of that game will go to Philadelphia next Sunday. The Oilers and the Kings, obviously we're a ways away from NHL playoffs, over 3.5 months almost by the time the NHL playoffs get around to it. But tonight it's the Oilers and the Kings. They met in the playoffs 3 consecutive years. Oiler fans love the matchup. They won in 7, they won in 6, and they won in 5. They had a 45% power play. 25 power play goals on 55 chances in 18 games. Like basically the Oilers went into every game and they're up 1-0 before the game even started. Because that's how bad the Kings penalty kill and how good the Oilers power play was. And this year, Oilers 50%. They've only had 1 game. They went 1 for 2 against LA. So I don't care, Brownie, you're a penalty killer. And you can have all the, but I do wonder if in the back of their head, it's like, oh my God, they step over the boards and they haven't had an answer for this power play for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you like just watching the Oilers when they're on that little stretch there. I mean, you play different against a team when you know that their power play is clicking and is capable of what they're capable of doing. Like that's a benefit to the Oilers just 5-on-5 because you know in the dressing room, the coach's plan, and before you go out, guys are talking like, hey, we can't take any undisciplined penalties, right? Because you got two of the best players in the game right now. That affects your psyche going into a game. So it's important for the Oilers to have their power play clicking because it just brings so many other elements to their just their team game, right? They're already hard 5-on-5 to play against with the talent and the depth that they have. And then just, like I said, I mean, when you're watching games on TV or you're watching live and you see the power play click, like you can see the team just breathing, right? You know it's coming, right? As a fan just watching, and it's no different than a guy on the ice. There's times where you're holding on and just hoping someone bobbles the puck or they take a shot and it misses the net and goes out because, and you're cringing every time McDavid has the puck. And, you see Draisaitl in the most awkward of spots, right? And he's getting the puck. Yeah. He's getting the puck, and that if it gets over there clean, there's a really good chance it's going in the back of your net.
Yeah. Oh no, it's true. And Draisaitl in the Oilers, his power play numbers, they've started to pick up a little bit for them. The team's power play has actually been really good here for quite a stretch. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like it's dominant because they're not getting a lot of chances. So they're not having a ton of games where they have they're having two or more power play goals.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they've had two of those all season this year, which, a few years ago they had, I think it was 17 games where they had at least two power play goals. So you said, their power play would win them games. Their power play is still very like somebody that, the Oilers power play isn't good. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's been excellent. It's just not as dominant because they're not getting as many power play opportunities.
Yeah. And you look now too, I mean, when they start scoring in some of the, ways that they score, and you look at, the Zach Hyman goal, right? There's nothing like they score some pretty sexy 5-on-5 goals and some really nice power play goals.
Yeah.
Right. But when they score, with just throwing it on the net, for Hyman and he kind of taps it in, that's just another, as a penalty killer, you're just like, now what? Like now they're just throwing it on the net. Right. But when you have success that way, it holds everyone a little bit tighter, right? Cheating becomes a little bit harder. Right. And we know that they're because of their skill and when they recover pucks and their natural ability, they got so many ways that can be. There's nothing, you remember those times where Draisaitl would just kind of sit in a slot and you'd have his back turn and it would just be a pass and he'd stop it and shoot it in. Like they have so many ways as a penalty killer that it's like how, it makes it tough. It makes it really hard. And like I said, when, if they can get to, if they can continue and get their power play where it's a threat and guys have that feeling like, whoa, like the game could be over if we give them any opportunities. It's just 5-on-5. It's so hard, right? Because you got to be so clean on your defensive coverage and how you play. And as a player, when you're starting to think about how you're defending and competing, it just the advantage goes to the other team for sure.
When I look at the the penalty kill of LA, and it's just against the Oilers is not good, and there's certain whatever it is they don't know how to react because their penalty kill against other teams is actually pretty good. So maybe it's psychological, and I'm sure it is for the Oilers. I'm sure you all know which rinks you score a goal the last time you're in this rink. The next time you go into that rink, you're like, hey, I scored in here last time. You just naturally feel better. If you have a minus 4 night in a certain barn, you might not feel as good the next time you go in there. So I do think the human element and just your brain is definitely a part of it. Now, we got a lot of texts. Hey, Brownie, if you're Josh Brown, what is your plan of attack tonight for the Oilers?
Well, just anything to just, kind of simplify your game and to make sure that, in your own zone, just making just a clean, good first pass, letting, for him, letting plays kind of come to him. I think at times, because of his strength of, wanting to be aggressive, because by nature, that's where he's most comfortable, right? Let those opportunities kind of present itself. Don't force it, right? Because when you get leaning and you get lunging, for a big guy and, for any defenseman, when you're in a position, where you're forcing it, it just puts you in a bad position to defend. So, easier said than done. I've been in that position before many a times where it's just like, man, I want to hit. And, that's, you kind of, at times you're just that aggression and that enthusiasm kind of works against you. So, for me, when opportunities present itself for Josh, take it. If it's not there, that's okay. You're a big guy. Positionally, make sure you're, aware you are in relation to the net, because you got a big stick and you're a big body. Guys it's just going to be hard to get around you anyway.
Yeah, for sure. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey guys, perhaps Knobloch's in his away, Bowman to force his hand. I'm sure Skinner has a lot of pride in him. Watching from the press box won't be tolerated long. Well, it's only 2 games, so let's not go crazy here. Hey, I'm sure he's not happy about it, but here's my question to anybody out there who's upset about Skinner not playing. So if you look at the Oilers lineup tonight, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman, line 1. Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, line 2. Janmark, Henrique, Brown, line 3. Kapanen and Perry are your 2 fourth-line wingers. Which one of those? Because it's not Josh Brown. Because right now it's a center's missing. Right? So Josh Brown comes in. Derek Ryan, who was the center last game, comes out. So my question to you is, where would you play Jeff Skinner based on the 8 wingers in the lineup tonight? Hyman on the right side, Arvidsson, Brown, Perry. Left side, Nugent Hopkins, Podkolzin, Janmark, Kapanen. Where would you play Skinner? 833-401-1440. Because I think that's the question. It's not, the coach doesn't like him. It's like, where would you play him and ahead of and who and why? 833-401-1440. Let's get to Connor Halley, Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Booster Juice. Warm up with Booster Juice and their savory selection of grilled fresh food options, breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak paninis, and more. No matter how big your appetite is, they got something for you. Go Booster Juice or download the Boosters Reward app today.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game day, the Oil hosting the Kings down at Rogers Place. Puck drop 7:30. We've got pregame coverage for you here on Sports 1440, 6 o'clock, Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Also tonight, Flames in Chicago, and the Flyers host the Panthers at 5 o'clock. In the NFL, you got Rams Vikings meeting just after 6 o'clock down in Arizona. Right now, Vikings 2.5-point underdogs heading into it. In the association, Raptors host the Warriors. Pistons take on the Knicks. Timberwolves up against the Wizards. Lakers host the Spurs. And the Heat in Los Angeles take on the Clippers. Some news from the CFL as American offensive lineman Martez Ivey signed a 2-year extension with the Elks. The team also signed national defensive lineman Jonathan Kongbo. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by former Oilers defenseman Tom Poti. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Mr. Rooter makes a prank phone call.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello there. Is your faucet running?
Yeah, actually it is. I have this really annoying drip.
Oh, you'll want to check for mineral buildup or corrosion. Otherwise, it's likely a defective gasket or O-ring. I got him good.
Mr. Rooter, you're the worst at this.
For lousy punchlines and immaculate water lines, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously... The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose.
treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goals. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa. And you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. It's mere seconds east of the Anthony Henday.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the two best names in work, biker, and Western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Red Wing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods.
Get ready, Edmonton. The 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here, celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey, proudly sponsored by Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team at Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 4 o'clock. Get ready, Oilers fans. Kings tonight. Then you got the Wild on Wednesday, the Avs on Thursday, and the Canucks on Saturday. But Minnesota, Colorado, and LA, along with the Oilers, that's 4 of the top 7 teams in the entire NHL. So this is a real good one. You want to, if you're a big believer in measuring sticks, this is a measuring stick, no question. This is a measuring stick game for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, so it is for the opposition. Make no mistake. Like the Minnesota Wild, you don't think that when the Oilers come to town on Wednesday, they'll remember the last time that Edmonton came to town and absolutely demolished them 7-1, right? Then you got McKinnon and Rantanen, McDavid and Draisaitl. Those games are always great. So from a pure entertainment perspective, this is a hell of a week. Like, honestly, 4 games in 6 days, 4 really good teams. This would be a good test. Like, and you can't get frustrated. Like, I guess you can, but your team's not, the odds of the Oilers winning all 4 games this week are pretty low, right? It's 4-6. It's all 4 playoff teams. And you look around the league at teams, their record against playoff teams, right? Like Dallas is, well, now they're 9-8-1. Colorado's 8-11. Edmonton is actually 7-7-3. Now they started the season 0-3-1. So since then they are 7-4-2. Good, but you're like, if they could win all 4 games this week, that would be massive for this team.
I think the timing of it is great. They're coming off of a win. Yeah, they had a little hiccup the game before, but overall, I think they're playing really well. And, from a fan and just watching from the outside, I think the coach Knobloch there, he's done a terrific job. I've just really seen, a team that's kind of growing, that's getting better. I see a team individually that's buying into, their roles and what's expected, and the line combinations. And the coaching, the juggling, right? And that's important, because, it's hard being a coach. It's hard taking away ice. It's hard giving ice. It's hard recognizing, those opportunities and situations to do that. And the guys are responding. So yeah, this is, it's not only exciting because good teams are coming in here, but it's exciting, I think, for myself, because I think this should be a confident group in the way they're playing as a team. To kind of really measure where they're at.
Oh, yeah, it should be. I'm really much looking forward to it. And hey, speaking of looking forward to it, it is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Would you like to go to the game tonight? We have a pair of tickets. Cons, who donated the tickets?
Tickets came in from Drew today.
Oh, Drew, attaboy. Couldn't make it to the game. Do we get to choose who goes? There's no guideline? All right.
Yeah, we get to make the decision.
Ooh, well, we've given lots to kids, which is fantastic. Maybe we'll think of something different, and we'll give them away in the next segment after because we're moving 5 questions because 5 questions are going to be at 4:20 today. Tom Poti's going to be at 4:40 coming up, so we'll do it right before the 5 question segment potentially. See, we'll think about something good, fun for our audience. Hey, Tom, maybe we'll just get pictures. Do you have a picture of Sean Brown?
Oh, no,
with an afro.
Giving some ammunition to some buddies that have some pretty compromising photos out there. I'm not sure I want them out there.
Yeah, that's not the competition, but if you have any, feel free to send them in at 833-401-1440.
It will go well with that intro. What was that, Motown there? I really enjoyed that, Connor, by the way. That was some easy listening.
Thank you. Have you figured out your intro song? Like, no one's really put it together yet. I like to play Fortunate Son when you come on.
Oh, okay.
The silver spoon and all that, but
I haven't, it's over. Yeah, I got to pay more attention.
Good tune. Yeah.
Okay. I like your selection, though. I like the fact Gregor let that play out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a good tune.
The Temptations run.
Guys, I'd insert Skinner for Connor Brown and run him with McDavid for 3 games. Nugent Hopkins can play with Henrique, spread some scoring. Kapanen, Janmark, and Perry can play more than normal fourth line, allows the lead to be protected. So you're gonna switch up all of your lines just to put in Jeff Skinner from O-line. I'd be surprised if the coach does that. I'd be very surprised, right? Brown's a right winger, Skinner's a left winger, so automatically that doesn't. So you're gonna play Skinner obviously on the left side with Nugent Hopkins and McDavid. You're gonna keep Draisaitl's line together. Then you're playing Henrique with Nugent Hopkins. You have Kapanen, Janmark, and Perry. So who are we missing if Connor Brown's... Well, Connor Brown's out. Well, he doesn't technically have to come out then because there's 12 forwards. You're just saying you want Janmark as the center. Well, I'm telling you, the coach isn't... You're saying play Janmark as a center and put Nugent Hopkins on your third line in place of Janmark. I guess it's possible, but Janmark's not a center. That's all. He's just not a center.
Do you see them moving? Like, does Skinner have a fit here? I mean, I like the depth, and I like, I like that signing and potentially what he can do. I know he's not, maybe playing to that ability, but, if you don't see him here, with the trade deadline, coming up, do they need to get him going to have some value? Does he become a valuable trade piece if he's in the lineup and putting up points?
Well, I don't think Jeff Skinner, who has a full no movement clause, would agree to get traded to a non-playoff team at this point. He's like, you know what? I'd rather roll the dice, stay here. If a guy gets injured, I can play. Right now, I could be wrong, but like he's been through a lot of non-playoff years. That's all he's ever done in his career.
Yeah.
So I think the only way you maybe could move Skinner is if a playoff team is where you'd move him to. And he would be like, hey, you know what? We've talked to this team. They really need a guy who can shoot. So they're going to take you.
And that no movement clause, that's a tough one, right? Because ultimately,
but that's why the players, like both the Edmonton, it's a 1-year deal, right? So the Oilers, when they signed Jeff Skinner on July 1st, I don't think, because obviously how they had scouted him, they thought he was going to be a fit for Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Like they came out and said it.
Yeah.
Right. And he hasn't necessarily, and it might have been a fit, but they just like Podkolzin's kind of beating him out for a spot in how he plays.
Rightfully so.
If we're being honest. And that's competition. So things change. At the time you sign him, okay, you know what? Podkolzin wasn't even on the team. So we probably have to take that in consideration.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they still had Holloway. Fine. So, and Holloway, poor check, he can do what Podkolzin does too. And I think they thought, though, okay, Skinner, this is what he's going to be for us. And then he came in and he had a lot of giveaways early on. And coach, that's probably what he sees now. Rightly or wrongly, I think that's what he sees. And as the manager, you can't force a coach to play guys because then you're kind of new to your coach. You either, hey, if you're not playing a young guy, we're sending him to the minors. Okay. But you got veteran guys. You're the management team. You kind of have to live with what the coach, that's why you hire the coach to coach. You don't hire the coach to coach the players the way you want. You hire him to coach the way he wants, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I just look at it now for Skinner, and when you look at the wingers, and Janmark's not a center, right? They tried it for a bit, whatever, but we all know that's not a solution. So even if you had Noah Philpott, for argument's sake, and he's your fourth line center, then which of your left wingers are you taking out? Right? Like that's Kapanen is actually scoring at a higher rate than Skinner. If your argument's offense, he's scoring at a higher rate. He's played less minutes.
I like that Kapanen.
Well, he's quicker.
He's just bigger. He's a bigger body. I like him.
Exactly.
But just because
so when Skinner signed, there was no Podkolzin, there was no Kapanen. Things changed. Like you can't just say, well, we signed the guy, so we have to. It's like Josh Brown. When you signed him, guess what? It didn't work out. You can't compound the mistake by just keep trying to hammer it and play him. Just can't do it.
Yeah. I don't.
To answer your question, I don't see him. Do you see where he fits?
Yeah, I know. I agree that it's tough. I don't know where he fits right now. I know that this isn't the season that everyone envisioned him to have, but there's been other guys in the past that maybe haven't had a great regular season. Maybe it's what's his name, Pekka. Right, Pekka, when during that run, I don't think he had an overly great season. All of a sudden gets into the playoffs, has a great playoffs. The Oilers go on a great run. Is there still the possibility? Because I think at the end of the day, the fact that he can score and he's proven to put up points, and you look in the playoffs, it's going to be a completely different game, right? You look at Draisaitl, McDavid, they're going to do what they're going to do, but it's also going to be a lot harder for them to do what they do. Right. And that's where the depth of, the scoring and the skill is possibly going to help. Does he play, who knows, but does that, is there an opportunity later on? You just don't know. But I like the fact that he has that upside, but I don't know.
Yeah. I just, things evolve and change. And on July 1st, two guys who are now two of your top four left wingers weren't on the team, Podkolzin and Kapanen. And they've picked those guys up. One for a fifth rounder, another one on waivers. And right now they've been better.
And Podkolzin's a guy that's going to be able, obviously he's, because of his tenacity and his ability to keep pucks alive and get pucks into the skilled guy's hands. But he's also a guy that he's going to be able to move around because he's effective. Right, he's effective on the second line, but he'd be just as effective on a third line in a check and roll. He's hard to play against, right? There's lots of, there's a lot to be liked about his game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So Edmonton's got good depth. Like they finally have depth. It's a good problem to have. Right? It's
do you have to bring up what's his name?
Noah Phil?
Do you have to bring him up just to see what he's got, just from an organizational standpoint? Not, you know what I mean?
100% you have to bring him up because the team needs a fourth line. They want a bigger fourth line center. I think that's obvious, a little bit quicker. And so you have to find out, instead of giving up assets, could Noah Phil do that job? I don't know. I don't know if anybody, you can think they can hope they know, but until you see him, and even 10 games isn't enough, but it's going to give you at least a better indication than 0 games.
I think as an organization, I think you have to bring Savoy and these guys up at different times throughout the season, just for the experience and to kind of get a gauge on what it is you actually have. If you don't actually bring them up, I think it's hard to get a real understanding of that. As I'm looking at a text here from Sliv, now that you look at what you started, now I'm getting photos from buddies here.
Oh, dude, I'm getting a few photos online here that they have a picture of Sean Brown. It's one of your hockey DB photos, and then they've just drawn in so it looks like an afro. It's pretty funny, actually.
I don't know how Sliver got this.
That one came
here,
from Curtis. Let's see it.
Stuff.
Oh
boy. Yeah.
What are you wearing?
I don't know.
Oh,
I think that was my warm up. My warm up was get to the rink and just jump in the hot tub.
Tie up your shirt.
Tie up my shirt.
Oh,
Go get my shirt wet. That's my 10-minute bike ride before I go on the ice.
Looks like you're heading down to a different bar on Jasper Ave right there. That's probably, you know what? You probably took that movie. That was probably right after you watched your favorite movie, Brokeback Mountain. Right after.
I think, you know what? I think
you might have been watching it while you were in the jacuzzi. What do you call it when you tie the t-shirt? Like, more girls did, like, you tie the t-shirt and like a little knot in the front. I think that's what Brownie's wearing. God, I'm like Phoebe Buffet right now. My eyes. Thanks, Liv. Thanks, appreciate it. We'll come back with 5 questions and your opportunity to go to the Oilers game tonight against LA Kings.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthew. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a Selly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
We believe that great projects start from the ground up. Well, to be accurate, great projects start from the underground up. We're GS Construction, and from pipes to drainage systems, we're always laying the groundwork for a better future for Edmonton. While the month of January may be slow for some, GS Construction is gearing up for a busy year ahead, preparing to build, repair, and replace tons of infrastructure to keep your systems running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start the new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen TVs, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a queen spring wall Euro top for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. And I'd like to thank all the people who buy new RVs. Buying your RV new is the most generous thing you can do to help your fellow man. Every year, thousands of people just like you go to the RV show or walk into a new RV store, pay full price, take great care of it like you always do, and then eventually sell it to us. And of course, we pay you market value for your used RV.
But that's tens of thousands less than you paid for it.
That's right, Bob. Could be half of what you paid for it when it was new. and it's still in great shape. So who gets the benefit of that reduced value? Our customers, that's who.
Noble customers never pay full price for an RV because we only buy used.
Right again, Bob. So we'll enjoy the same RV you have now, only we pay like half as much. And it's only possible because you generously decided to pay that higher price when you bought it. So thanks again to all the new RV buyers, and we'll see you in a few years.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor. Get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, buddy, House of Pain, man. Love that song. Unreal. Killer track. They have any clubs even play that anymore? Like, I'm not even sure there's any dance clubs in Edmonton. There's got to be one or two, I would hope. But
the kids go now.
I have no idea. Kids, where'd it go? Like, where's the dance? Like, I know they have like the places now that have like, some of them had like arcade games and stuff like that, and kind of pubs that have a dance
Dave and
floor.
Buster's kind of thing. That's an American.
Yeah, like they have like
I guess Rec Room
pubs, like On the Rocks has a dance floor.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll I don't know if they bump jump around. They probably do play jump around every now and then. I think I've actually heard it there now that I say that. But like I'm talking like clubs that were like Berry Tees, Goose Loonies, where it was just like all dance music pretty much the majority of the time. Right. And is there a dance club in Edmonton right now?
What about my wife and I were on White Ave with my daughter, and what's that place up top? The Billiard Club. The Billiard Club now has a bar.
They reopened it.
Yeah, but it's a country bar or something like that. Dixie's or I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it
Daisies or something?
Daisies, yeah. Isn't it funny now? Like, obviously.
Did you drop your daughter off there?
No.
Oh.
No, she's not quite of age yet. She'll probably be.
Oh, she's not 18 yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. She's
So,
close.
Summertime.
Okay. So I knew
she'll
she was
be
close.
cruising White Ave.
Oh, for sure.
Not looking
You'll
forward to
be
that.
dropping her off.
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe she'll just carry around pictures of maybe you should just say, hey, why don't you just show them these pictures? This is my dad. Yeah, I used to do the Afro picture you just showed me. It's money. Yeah. I love it. Who's your dad? Sean Brown. Oh, he used to wear an Afro. It's good conversation.
Not looking
starter.
forward to these days.
Let's get to actually, you know what? We'll do it right now. Very easy. If you want to go to the Oilers Kings game tonight, 833-401-1440. You have to be listening to the show or looking it up. 833-401-1440. We've talked a little bit about the Oilers power play, Brownie. The last few years being ridiculously good, right? Like ridiculously good against the LA Kings, to the point of how about 45% in the playoffs, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. And it wasn't just 1 year, like that's over 3 years, and it wasn't like 1 year they had it crazy. It was 3 years in a row where they ranged from 36% up to 56%. Which is, when you think about it, it's almost like that they just can't be real numbers. So there were, excluding the main first unit power play, which is, of course, Draisaitl, Hyman, McDavid, Bouchard, and Nugent Hopkins. Can you name the other two players who have scored a power play goal versus the Kings in the playoffs the last 3 years? Not Draisaitl, not Hyman, not McDavid, not Bouchard, not Nugent Hopkins. Who are the other 2 players to have scored a power play goal? 833-401-1440. Actually, let me make it easier, Cons. Just name one of them. One of the other 2 who have a power play goal the last 3 years against the Kings in the playoffs. 833-401-1440. We'll wait for those to come in. We'll get to 5 questions now, brought to you by The Brick, where saving you more is what they do all the time at The Brick, and it's fantastic. It's a new year, and The Brick is clearing out all of their old inventory, blowing out furniture for up to 70% off the original price. 70%. So that is coming up later this week at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1 today. It is Connor McDavid's birthday. So if you were buying 97 a gift, it can be logical or just something fun. What would you get him?
I would probably get him blade holders, like the quick release blade holders, right? Because he's, if not one of the only, I'm pretty sure he's the only one on the Edmonton Oilers that doesn't have the quick release so that they can change the steel if it breaks or has a nick. That always just, maybe for our sake as a fan, I would hate to see that guy lose any additional ice time because he loses an edge and old Langer's got to get the screwdriver out. So I'll go with that.
So, well, that's the thing. Are you giving him a fun gift or, geez. Like, I don't know if I've ever bought my buddies a birthday gift. Like, anytime it was their birthday at the bar, I just bought him drinks. So took him out for dinner. So what would I buy Connor McDavid? You probably have to know. I don't know him well enough. Like, I know him, but I don't know him well. I guess I would, I'd probably buy him some doggy treats. He seems to be really close to his dog. So I'll go down that road. I'd find out, like, what's his dog's favorite thing. That's what I'd buy him.
Question number 2. Oilers Kings tonight, of course. We know the Oilers and Kings have met the last 3 Stanley Cup playoffs. Big rivalry, I think, for the Kings. But for the Oilers, where would you rank the Kings in terms of a rival?
I think they are 3rd. I will have Vegas 1, Vancouver 2, LA 3.
Oh wow, I'd have them 2nd. Vegas 1. I'd have it just the opposite. Vegas and then the Kings and then Vancouver.
All right. Question number 3. We had Elks defensive coordinator and linebackers coach JC Sherritt on this show today. So we'll do a little fill in the blank. The Elks will have a top blank defense this year.
Go ahead, Gregor.
Like I could say top 9, but that's probably pretty weak.
Yeah.
I'd be guaranteed to be right. Now, but what are we ranking that on? Like points allowed? Is it yards allowed? Like what's the criteria?
I'm going to say points.
So points allowed just on defense.
Just
right?
on defense.
If your offense gives up pick 6 or special teams, I will say, I think they'll be in the I'll say top 5, which means they could be 5th, which is just average to, and if they're any higher than that, then it'll be really good.
I don't know if I know enough about where they're at in the whole league in itself, but I'm just excited the fact with all the changes and the guys that they brought in, and the enthusiasm and energy that they're going to coach with and kind of the expectations. Yeah, I would agree with you that they're going to be 5th because I just feel like this team is going to take a real step and be something that we can all start to get on board and it can be like it was back in the day.
Question number 4. During yesterday's Eagles-Packers game, Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown was captured on the sideline reading the book Inner Excellence, Train Your Mind for Extraordinary Performance and the Best Possible Life by Jim Murphy. Now, the sales have just skyrocketed. It's Amazon's top-selling book. It didn't even crack the 500,000 mark before. So on the topic of that, what book would you recommend to our listeners?
Oh, that is too funny. The number 1 book I would recommend to parents for sure. And I don't care if you have a son or a daughter. If you have a son, I think it is if you have a son and you haven't read this book, I honestly think you're missing out for your son, especially if they're 25 and under, even older, but if they're 25 and under, you have to read The Boy Crisis by Warren Farrell. It's a riveting book. It is very eye-opening, and it talks about a lot of different things for boys. And if you're a parent and you have a daughter, you should still read The Boy Crisis, because it's really going to impact your daughter's life in the most part. So I would highly recommend The Boy Crisis.
The one book that I kind of recommend with the different athletes, and Gregor and I, we were talking about just the mental side of the game and how important it is. But one book that really helped me, and like I said, that I recommend to a lot of the younger athletes, whether it's my son or anyone, is Mind Gym by Gary Mack. I just thought it was really good it was a good read for me, because it really had a lot of athletes that I looked up to, like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and and it just kind of talked about a lot of the mental challenges that they had. And I think it was, the biggest thing that struck me is, when you're trying to make it to the NHL, you just have this vision and idea of these athletes, and, they're so perfect and they're so good and they don't make mistakes. And you put just, a ton of pressure on yourself to, to be a perfect athlete. And it's just not reality. Right. And so when I started reading that and being like, oh, wow, Michael Jordan struggled and this person struggled, and here's some of the adversity and here's some of the things that they did, to kind of overcome it. It just, I don't know, for whatever reason, just a light went off for me, and it just kind of made me understand. And, I try to help athletes, right, understand. And when they're watching TSN or they're following their favorite sports team, is like, don't watch the team and the individual as they're doing well. Watch when they struggle, right? And watch, the interviews and how they conduct themselves, and, the things they say, the demeanor, their body language, because it's important, because that's the one thing that separates an elite athlete, is their ability to be consistent and kind of get over some of those hurdles. Gym Mind was a book that, I read it. I highlighted a lot of different, pages that, meant more to me, so that, throughout my career, I had to kind of look at it and just be able to skim through. And it was something I always just kind of look back on. I lent it out and somebody never gave it back. So I'd always give it out to people.
It's the worst.
And somebody took it. I have no idea who.
I bought 10 copies of The Boy Crisis. I just gave them to people who I ran, buddies who I felt like, I think you need to read this book.
Oh, smart.
Right? Like if your son's autistic, you definitely need to read that book. If your son is a teenager, you need to read that book. If your son's a young boy, you need to read that book. Young adult, like I'm telling you, heck, even if your son's a grown adult, probably could read the book. There are so many statistics in there that are very important to look at and understand and be talked about more by men and women. So The Boy Crisis, I've talked about it before in the show, and I'll talk about it again. I think it's the most important book that you should read from Warren Farrell. And I guarantee you will get a lot out of it. 100%.
Final question today. On this day, 10 years ago, Schitt's Creek debuted.
Ooh.
Now, the list may not be long, but there's some good ones. But is Schitt's Creek the greatest Canadian TV show ever, or do you have one better?
I got to confess, I haven't watched it. I've heard good things about it.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Buddy, honestly, you and Wendy,
hey,
you would laugh. I'm telling you. And it's a sitcom. It's 22. You could even stay awake for one episode.
Yeah. I think that I probably would like it. I definitely love comedy. We just finished Yellowstone yesterday. I thought, wow, for a guy that's not into TV, that was kind of exciting.
Okay.
I'm glad it's over though. I don't want to feel like I have to watch TV every night. But I'll maybe go with Trailer Park Boys. That seems to be, Bubbles and some of those guys is, I got to confess, I haven't watched an episode of it, but it does look kind of funny. The characters look interesting.
Okay. Cons, who are you going with?
You know what? I do like Trailer Park Boys. I don't watch it religiously, but man, Ricky's funny. Schitt's Creek was good, but not just saying this to butter up TR. I think Shorzy, really good show. Like top to bottom, good story. The music's good, storyline's good. So it probably won't get the love because Schitt's Creek did very well worldwide. But I'd both Shorzy selfishly.
Well, if you're looking at awards, I'm not sure a show won more awards than Schitt's Creek, right? Like it was fantastic. And but if I'm looking at Canadian shows, obviously you pick Shorzy, so good shout out to TR. If I go from my childhood, Mr. Dress Up is an unbelievable show. It's so good. But honestly, This hour has 22 minutes. Was unbelievable. The satire on that show at times. Oh, and like they made fun in a good way of everybody. Like to me, it was an honor. If you got on that show, you should have been honored. I thought this hour has 22 minutes for pure comedy was unbelievable. So I will go with that one as well. SCTV. Yeah, it's classic too. Littlest Hobo. Like there's lots.
Oh yeah.
Right. Different stage of your life. The Beachcombers. You kidding me? Love that show. Now it obviously maybe doesn't stand up as well. Degrassi would have been one. The original. I liked it more. Now younger kids might like the new one.
Does Connor get into more of this TV and shows now that he's got a young family?
No,
right. So now
not
he's sitting
yet.
around. What else we got to do?
Oh, he's just trying to sleep.
Right?
Trying to sleep. No, yeah. I'm thinking like when he gets more of a schedule, a sleeping schedule, we'll get some like TV shows to binge at night. But right now, it's not happening.
All right.
I wish.
Yeah.
You're always preparing.
We
for
got
that
through
bad
Squid
day.
Game though, season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it took us longer than we would have liked, but we got through it.
I think I just like that word squid. Squid games.
Don't be a squid. Yeah, exactly. 4:39, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sean Brown through Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Will return. Tom Poti will join us next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by during the 2024 model clear-out and take advantage of January rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
It's the place to buy a Honda. It's the place for service too. I love it. I love my Honda place. Would you buy it? It's the place.
He's bringing the spirit and sound of the East Coast to the prairies. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents Alan Doyle. Live in the venue January 17th. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Get ready to rock with ZZ Top. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents ZZ Top live in the venue June 6, 2025. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Get ready, Edmonton. The 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here. Celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey, proudly sponsored by Sports 1440.
I feel so close.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Do we have Poti? Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And congratulations, Brad in Morinville is going to the game tonight. The correct answers were Evander Kane, he had 2, and Kyler Yamamoto had the other power play goal. Of course, Draisaitl over the last 3 playoff years has 9. Hyman has 5. McDavid has 4. They led the way. They have 25 power play goals in the 18 playoff games against the Kings. And we said outside of the Oilers' number 1 unit, who also scored? Evander Kane, of course, had 2. Good guess. And Kyler Yamamoto. And Brad actually had Yamamoto as well.
Is he playing? Where is he?
No, I think he's in the minors.
Is he?
I can double check it, but I'm 90% certain he is. He's in the minors.
What an unbelievable career he's had. For the size of him, I was on the ice with him once, and I could not get over how small he was.
Yeah, like to be 1150 pounds and play in the NHL, like, and not only 150. Well, I don't think he could be 6 feet 150. That wouldn't work. But 5'6" and like 150 was almost gracious, I think, for him, honestly.
Yeah.
Like he's not big
and he wasn't scared.
No, he played with no fear. It's I remember talking to Kyler about it, and he said like he gets hit in the head every game, and not maliciously, just because his head's at that level.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're just getting bumped all the time. And so you know what? Eventually, size does matter in the postseason. You get worn down. But yeah, he had a great career. Our next guest made his NHL debut in 1998-99, retired only 14 years later as a member of the Washington Capitals, played 824 games. The highlight or low light, we'll find out, of his career was playing with Sean Brown. Tom Poti joins us now. Tom, how you doing, my man?
Good. How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me on.
What, Tom, do you remember your first impressions of Sean Brown, the hockey player?
Easy, Poti, be easy.
Of course I can. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to play with. I think we even played defense as defense partners for a little while, for a few games. And he was always a guy that was willing to stick up for his teammates and do anything for the team. So he was, one of the best teammates I had.
Tom, you watch the game now, and I know you just got off the ice, you're coaching, and, even from when you came in 1998-99 till now, like the game has changed so much. Like, the style that you played in the 1990s, which was kind of like the dead puck era almost in the late 80s, like there wasn't as much offense. Like you must watch the game and thinking, man, if I was 10 years younger, this would be an unreal, right? Because it's now, if you're a puck moving D-man, like everybody's all over you. They were then, but it's even more encouraged now.
Yeah. So, I mean, the game looks like it's so much more fun to play now. It's not, hacking and whacking and firing it off the glass and things like that. It seems like it's a puck control game, and, it looks like a lot of fun to play.
So, Poti, this is a lot of people I think knew then, and maybe not so much now, but it's interesting because, listening to Gregor earlier, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, I think all have like this special burger with McDonald's coming out. Is that true? Right?
Yeah, they have, yes.
And so you had an allergy, and it's amazing because you have kids, and we all have kids now, and it's like, hey, make sure you're eating right, and you got to make sure you fuel your body. But you were in a unique situation where sometimes because of, maybe the trust that you had in the chef, quite often you were eating McDonald's. Can you speak to that a little bit? And the fact you played in the NHL eating McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's was always the safest bet. I knew the ingredients that they used, and, they didn't really have any peanut products on their menu or anything like that. So I knew it was always safe, and it was kind of my go-to. So I would eat McDonald's a lot of nights before games, and even sometimes if they screwed up my meal, my pregame meal, I would hop in a cab and go grab McDonald's and eat that for my pregame meal. So it was, and I was always a guy who was kind of on and put weight on. So it definitely didn't hurt me in that department.
So you watched the World Juniors. We all watched it, and obviously, the United States, win gold here. You were a part of that program. What was it like being a part of that program? Did you watch it? And where do you see and did you, is that program always something that, now that you're coaching, you've kind of modeled, some of your development after?
I think so. It was when I played in the World Juniors back in 96 and 97. It was the first time I was able to really represent my country, wearing the red, white, and blue of the USA. And, it was just a true honor to be able to represent my country and play in that. So I've pretty much every year that's gone by since then, I've always tried to watch it and, root for the Americans. And it's such a fun tournament. It's such a fun tournament to be part of. And the U.S. is, over the last few years has done really good. And it's nice to see us beating up on Canada a little bit here, because they used to beat up on us back in the day.
So with the deadline coming up, you were a player that, started in Edmonton. You obviously, moved around throughout your career. What was that like? What was it like going through that? What was it like playing in Edmonton? And then maybe just talk about, your experiences in Edmonton and does the difference between, I know you spent some time in Washington, just the difference between the two organizations, maybe coaching wise, development wise. Can you speak to that?
Sure, of course. So I was obviously, drafted by Edmonton, and I was kind of like, oh man, that's the furthest possible place from Boston that I could get. So I was kind of bummed out a little bit that I was drafted by the Orioles. Obviously I knew their history and their rich tradition. And when I got up there, I was pleasantly surprised. Like as you know, Bronny, like we had an awesome room with some really, really great veterans, and it was like an unbelievable spot to be. People don't realize how much fun it is to play up there. And the group of guys that we had on our teams over the years, when I was there anyway, were just awesome guys. Billy Guerin, Dougie Waite, Kelly Buckberger, Marty McSorley, Jason Smith, guys like that, Mike Greer. Like it was just an all-star cast of people and human beings. And it was so much fun to be up there. And I had a blast playing up there. And unfortunately, I had to hold out. I had a contract dispute with when Kevin Lowe was first-time GM, and I don't think the fans ever kind of forgave me for doing that. And it kind of basically, that was the end of my career there. And then I was able to move on. I played, I think, 4 years in New York, and then another year in the Islanders, and then finished up with 5 years in Washington. And, finishing up in Washington, we had a good group of guys in there. I was kind of one of the older guys. So I tried to, pass on the knowledge that I learned from the older guys in Edmonton and, try to help out the younger guys. And we had some really fun teams in Washington with, Ovechkin and Backstrom and Mike Green and Alex Semin, and, Fedorov was there with us for a little while. And, it was a lot of fun to kind of close out my career with playing with all those guys.
Tom Poti joins us. Tom, your first 3 years in the league, you came in at 21, you and Brownie. Your first year, you had Ron Lowe as head coach. Your second year, you had Kevin Lowe as head coach. Your third year, you had Craig McTavish as head coach. Now, you did have Kevin Lowe as an assistant coach. Then he became a head coach. But that's three different coaches in the first 3 years in the National Hockey League. Now, Kevin, of course, he's a Hall of Fame defenseman. What was the best thing that he taught you as a young defenseman?
I think the biggest thing that Kevin kind of taught me, he spent a lot of time with me when I was a rookie there, because he was the assistant coach. So you're always kind of close with your assistant coach. And I mean, Brownie, that Kevin was good to us, and he really helped us out. He stayed on with us at the end of practices and kind of worked with us. And the biggest thing he told me was, he's like, don't try to figure out what the coach is thinking. Don't try to figure out what management is thinking. Just go out and play your game, play to your strengths. There's a reason why you're here. Just go out and do what you do best, and you'll be fine. And, that was kind of some advice that I always tried to use, throughout my time in the NHL.
So you played with Alexander Ovechkin, who's on the verge of, breaking, Gretzky's most goals scored, one of the best players to ever play the game. What was it like playing with him? And what was, I guess, like, what's it to practice against him, seeing him on the ice? Like, what is it that made him so special?
I think just his hunger to score. Like, he could score 3 goals in the first period, and he wants to get that 4th one, and that 5th one, and that 6th one. Like, he's just so hungry to score goals, and he's so passionate about the game. And, he really loves to be out there on the ice competing and battling. And it was a lot of fun to play with him for those years. I mean, you would want to call it his prime, but, he's still scoring 30, 40, 50 goals a year now. So it's like, it was special to be able to play with him when he was a younger guy like that.
So Poti, you used a pretty unique stick. You used the Gretzky, right? That silver stick that I think I don't know if it got banned or not, but it was pretty reflective. But we're all working with young kids, and Jason has a young son and as a coach, and you talk about stick length, and the general idea is kind of around your chin. You used the stick that was probably taller than me and a lot of other guys in the league. Like, can you talk about why you use such a big stick, and how do you view that? You have a son that's playing. Is he following the same footsteps? Because you handled the puck extremely well for having a ridiculously long stick.
Yeah, it was weird. So I used the Gretzky aluminum probably since every kid got it, whatever, when Wayne started using it back in the day, and I just kind of was so comfortable with it that I liked it. And I used it for a long time until I think I was in New York, and they said, "Hey, look, you're not allowed to use that." The Easton guy said, "You can't use that, but we're going to make you a stick, and it's going to be the Gretzky aluminum, but we're going to paint it look like a Z bubble." So I'm like, whatever, I don't really care what it says on it. But I always tried to, I figured, why not? Might as well use the longest stick as you can possibly use, especially being a defender and being able to, defend plays and poke check and stuff like that. It just kind of worked, and I felt comfortable with it. So it's just something that I use, but I wouldn't necessarily tell somebody now that I'm coaching or a player, like, hey, you got to get a longer stick and you got to make it longer. You got to use whatever's comfortable for you and whatever you feel works best for you. So it's just personal preference. It's just something I always got used to. And I just like using that long stick.
When you look at, I want to get to Ovi just because it's such a unique thing. He's chasing a record that, when you were playing with him in 08 and he had scored 65 goals, I think your first season there, you're going, geez, this guy's pretty good. But I don't think anybody thought he was going to, get to 900 goals, because that's what he's training for right now. When you watch you played the league for 14 years, Tom. Like, he just had his 20th season with 20 goals, right? Like, I think at times we downplay how hard it is to not only play in the league, but to play in it 20 years and be as good as he has. Do you kind of are you surprised he's been this good, or did you always know he'd be this durable? Because that's pretty much like the guy's never injured.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody thought that he'd be scoring as much as he is now. Obviously, he's, the best goal scorer to ever play the game. But like I said, it's just, his longevity and the way that he stays healthy. He just obviously just broke his leg, and I think a few months ago or something like that. But that was basically the first injury he's had in 20 years. And he's just a machine out there. Like, he just, it's the way he plays and his style and how physical he is and how much the other teams key on him and try to hit him and play physical against him to stay as healthy as he has this long is one of the reasons why he's going to obviously, not only break the record, but, probably go really far past it too. And it's fun to watch because if you never got a chance to play with him, like, he's a pretty special guy. Like, he's so welcoming and he's so good to everybody, and he's just always happy, always smiling. And he's just, one of the best teammates I've had. Like, I'm so excited for him that he's still doing this and still scoring. And, you can see the look on his face every time he gets a goal, how happy he is. And he just loves doing it.
So I know you're coaching you're coaching your kids in minor hockey. We all spend time in minor hockey. We have a lot of listeners that, are involved in minor hockey. Maybe talk a little bit about your son and how he's doing, because it seems like he's doing very well. And maybe just talk about your experience coaching and how you're liking it and what you're seeing in today's athlete and today's parent.
Sure. Yeah. So I have 2 sons that play. My oldest is 14, so he's playing in a U14 league down here. He'll be moving on to go to prep next year. That's kind of the model down here. You play your full season U14 year, and then you go to prep school for a couple of years, and then hopefully, if you're good enough, you can kind of move on to either play in the USHL juniors or BCHL, or now the kids can go major junior, which is a huge plus for their development stuff. So he's kind of just getting on that track now, and it's up to him to keep working hard and see if he can kind of keep moving forward with it. So but as far as coaching, I coached him all the way through up until this year. This is the first year I haven't coached him, so I've been doing this for I think 10 or 11 years now, and it's fun. I like being on the ice with the kids. I like helping the kids and coaching the kids, and as we know, I think every team has about 13, 14 parents on it, or sets of parents, and they're all hockey experts, so they help me out with drills and they help me out with their opinions and all kinds of stuff like that. So but no, I'm just kind of joking a little bit, but it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. It keeps me into the game, it keeps me on the ice, and it's I'm fortunate that my kids do like the game, and they have fun playing. So I'm glad that I'm able to be on the ice and not only help my kids out, but also help their friends and their teammates.
So you obviously know what it takes to get to an elite level at all the different levels, right? And so now that's probably, obviously an advantage of the kids that you surround yourself around, and it's an advantage, to your kid. But, maybe at times it could be a little bit of a disadvantage, right? Because right? It's like, hey, you know what, if you want to make it, here's kind of the things that you need to do. Like, how's your relationship coaching your kid, just in general?
It's good. We have a good relationship. I kind of, I give him as much advice as he wants to take. I kind of throw it out there. I said, hey, if I'm not too hard on him. I'm not too strict with him, because at the end of the day, if you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to get better at it.
Yep.
And you're not going to move up the ranks. So it's kind of, I'm here to give advice and kind of here to tell him what my path was. And, I kind of tell him, like, you want to be a hockey player, it's like, you got to be doing hockey. You got to be on the ice. You got to be practicing. You got to be, now that he's 14 years old, he's got to start the off-ice stuff. He's got to get in the weight room and get in the gym and get bigger and stronger. And so just kind of like, telling him what he needs to do. And, some of the stuff he goes and he does it. And some of the stuff he's a little hesitant towards, but, eventually it's his path, and he's got to kind of, want to do it on his own. And, he's a kid who's always working hard. He always wants to be on the ice. We have an outdoor rink now that we built in the backyard, and he's out there skating all the time, and he loves being out there on the ice, and he seems to really like the game. And I think he's 6'1" right now, 160 pounds, so he's got the size. So he's doing well.
Oh, good. So Poti, you were a guy that you loved being at the rink, right? You loved being on the ice. You loved working on your skills. No one ever had to tell you. If anything, it seemed like to me most coaches were always trying to be like, hey, pull you back a little bit. You love being around and being on the ice. And even talking to you, back in the day, you just, even in the summertime, you spent a lot of time on the ice. Where did you get that? Was it, do you feel, did your dad help you with that? And, how much do you feel like you need to push your son, and how much do you need, like, because I know with my kids, or not so much my son because he really loved hockey, but definitely my daughter, where I had to nudge her quite a bit when she was younger to play. She's not into hockey, but volleyball, but I really had to nudge her into playing. And now she found her love for it. She's driving her own bus. She just, she's motivated, but how much do you have to, where's the balance between that?
So from my experience, I just always loved being on the ice. Like it's all I wanted to do. Like I was always asking my dad to take me to public skating or take me to public hockey, or, we'd have practice from 5 to 6, and I'd beg my dad, can you ask that coach that's going on next if I can stay out and skate with his team? And so I just always wanted to be on the ice. In the summertime, like they had open ice for public hockey, and I'd skate for 3, 4, 5 hours a day, just and not even think twice about it. Like, oh my God, I've been out here for 4 hours and not even know you're out there,
Yeah.
It never felt like work. It never felt like a job. It was just all I wanted to do, and it was fun, So, as far as my son, like he's kind of similar to me. Like he's always asking, like, can I go skate? Can I go do this? Can I go do that? Can I, stay out for extra skills, or can you sign me up for this power skating or whatever? So he just kind of seemed to follow suit, and just, he likes doing it, and, it's not a job to him, it's fun. And that's, as you know, Brownie, that's when you get better, when you don't even think you're working. You're just out there playing and having fun.
Yeah.
Tom, it's great catching up with you. Continued success. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again. Thanks for your time.
No problem. Anytime, guys.
There you go. That's Tom Poti, a former teammate of Brownies. You guys, were you both rookies the same year?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1988, 99 with the Oilers.
Shout out to Sliver for passing on that contact. And I kind of got reconnected with him because I'm friends with Sliver on Facebook.
Yeah.
And they went to Pearl Jam together. And I was like, oh, wow, how nice would it be to get caught up with him? Just a super guy. And like he says, I mean, no one loved the game more than that guy. He just loved being. It'd be interesting in today's game where they don't skate as much.
Right.
Like, I would imagine a trainer having to be like, hey, Potsy, you know what? Rest management, or
right.
we got to hold you back a little bit.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah. They're very much into time management for sure. Brownie, Oilers, Kings. What's your prediction today?
I'm going to say overtime. Overtime win.
You're saying Oilers overtime win to recover from the overtime loss. All right. Well, we'll see you at the rink.
See you guys.
That's Sean Brown. Let's get to Connor Halley, Sports 1440 update brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. You want to get in the game? Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca.
1440 update.
It is game day. The Oilers hosting the LA Kings down at Rogers Place. Puck drop in this one set for 7:30 pregame coverage. Here on Sports 1440 gets going at 6 with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Elsewhere, Flyers, Panthers meeting in a couple minutes here. Then at 5:30, got the Hawks and the Flames in Chicago in the NFL. Round 1 of the playoffs wraps up tonight down in Arizona as the Rams host the Vikings. Kickoff set for 6 p.m. in the association. The Toronto Raptors taking on Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. That gets going in about 30 minutes. You also have the Timberwolves in Washington, Knicks and the Pistons. Spurs take on the Lakers and Clippers up against the Heat. Some news from the CFL. Offensive lineman Martez Ivey signing a 2-year extension with the Edmonton Elks. In addition, the club signed national defensive lineman Jonathan Congo. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear from Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and In Goal Magazine's Kevin Woodley. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
A bedtime story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Papa John's would like to recognize all the amazing meat-savoring, veggie-loving, barbecue chicken craving, pepperoni-popping, crust-dipping customers with an extra large thank you. And to really show just how much they appreciate you, from January 13th to 19th, take 40% off any pizza at regular menu price. It's just their way of saying thanks for loving pizza as much as they do. Order online at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app and use promo code TY40. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Just when the weather is raising your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak, and chicken paninis. Topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle, grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. eWell.ca is your power play partner with a new website that puts the power in your hands with 24/7 ordering and shipping within Edmonton and across Alberta. Score an account today at ewell.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 5 o'clock. You made it through another Monday. Hey, if you're a sports fan, it's a good Monday evening. Oilers Kings, 7:30. If you got some NFL playoff action, you have the Vikings and the Rams. They are in Arizona tonight, so a neutral site game, but obviously there'll be lots of fans at that one, as well as the NFL switched that due to the fires in the Palisades in Los Angeles. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where the Oilers are favorites tonight against the Los Angeles Kings. And if you look at the NFL matchup tonight, the Vikings, they're on the road, but no surprise, they are the favorite on the road tonight. Technically, I guess, in Arizona. But not by much, and even the spread is only 2.5. So you're thinking it'll be a close game, and it might be. But I will take the Vikings. It's interesting, the game's in Arizona, but they have all the Rams names in the end zone. So I'm sure. No self-respecting Arizona fan can be mad over that. Like, there's bigger things than your name in the end zone for sure. It's just kind of a preset of when you host the Super Bowl. That's what happens. Now let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction, as they are your underground infrastructure specialists. Want to make the neighborhoods flow from running water to getting your toilet, all the way to overpasses and more. It's the stuff sometimes you don't see that is building the foundation at GS Construction. And Spec will be with us momentarily. As I don't know, it's having some technical issues. So right now it's like Tech 1, Spec 0. Are any of us really surprised by that? Probably not, Spec? The files are in the computer. Oh, yeah, I could see Spec being like Zoolander. It's a classic scene. You know what I'm talking about. Hey, Gregor, do you know between Vegas, LA, and Edmonton, who's played the most games versus playoff opponents thus far? I just wrote an article about that, actually. Vegas has played 19 games now after a Minnesota game last night versus playoff teams. LA and Edmonton are each at 17, so tonight will be 18 each. So pretty much even. They're, you know what? And again, so you look at the standings heading into tonight's game for the Edmonton Oilers. A victory at any point will put them within 4 points of Vegas and close that gap. Now, this is a big week for the Oilers. As mentioned, they have Minnesota and Colorado. The Wild are pretty good team, especially not so much on home ice, though, but they've been a pretty good team overall. They're dominant on the road at 11-9-1. And we'll see what comes of that game tomorrow. Then they go to Colorado, which is, everybody knows about the altitude and everything there. Although, the Avs not as dominant this year at home. They're only 12-8-1. And then Edmonton finish up the 3-game road trip in Vancouver. And the Canucks are one of the worst home teams in the league. They have won 7 of 21 home games. They're 7-8-6. Like, if the Canucks could figure out how to play on home ice, they'd probably be much more comfortable in where they're at right now. So While we wait on Spec, let's hear a few quick comments from the coach. Here is actually, no, we do have Spec. All right, Spec's there now. Spec, how you doing?
Sorry about that, boys.
Hey, it's all right, buddy. It's all right. Different time today. The Oilers and the Kings. You look at this matchup, and it's funny, Spec. You come in, the Kings power play is terrible. And when I just look at matchups, the reason I would never pick LA against Edmonton is because they can't. Their special teams advantage is so heavily in favor of the Oilers.
Yeah, there are no perfect teams, right?
Yeah.
We all take the Oilers apart every day. They're a team playing, 750 hockey for the last 2 months, and we're always finding something wrong with them because there's always something wrong with every team. Now, LA, they opened up their game. They're not playing that same boring garbage style they played for so long that we all hated. But that's their weak spot, especially their power play. Like they don't have they got some high-end skill, but matched up against Edmonton, they're not very good. So yes, I'm with you, Jay. I still don't like the matchup for LA. The other thing I don't love, even though they've been good, I don't know how you go to, you're going to have a ton of success with Kemper and Riddick. Call me wrong, and maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I'm not a giant Kemper guy here. I think maybe he'll prove it, but I don't think he's enough to beat Edmonton. What do you think?
Well, I think Darcy Kemper's played very well for LA.
Yeah,
like they lead the NHL, and we had Dennis Bernstein on. He's like, man, if Kemper plays like this, then they got a shot in the playoffs because he's actually been pretty good, especially on the penalty kill. You look at the Kings; they got the best. They're plus 27 5-on-5. They're 87 goals for, only 60 goals against. They don't give up very much. They've allowed the fewest goals 5-on-5 in the National Hockey League so far. Funny enough, the Calgary Flames are second. You look at the top 5 teams in 5-on-5 goals against. They all reside in the Western Conference. The Oilers, obviously, they gave up so many goals early on. They've obviously been a lot better of late, and that's the other thing. Spec, like last 10 games, last 20 games, last 30 games, Edmonton has gained no points on Vegas and only 1 point on LA. Like it's been like for 30 games, like all these have 3 of the top 4 records in the NHL over the last 30 games. Right, they're all in the top 5 and 20 and 10. Like they've all been playing very well. It's interesting though, talking to Dennis Bernstein, people in LA, they're just like, we don't think it's sustainable because they still don't score enough. And that's to me the biggest thing at the end of the day. They're very good defensively. They're tied with Winnipeg for best goals against in the league, but they just don't score, and their power play is terrible. And I think it asks too much because Edmonton has shown they can play a shutdown game if need be, but the difference is their top guys will eventually score, and LA's don't.
Yeah, what Edmonton has is they have found the ability to play you kind of however you want to play, and I think those previous series against LA are a good example, right? We all knew how LA was going to play. Even Leon Draisaitl figured out how to dump a puck in against the LA Kings in those playoff series, even though he hates doing it.
Yeah.
But they said, okay, LA, let's play low event hockey, but we're going to score on more of our events than you're going to score on your events. And the Oilers will take that. If you want to play, high event hockey, they think they'll score more goals than you most nights. And if you want to play low event hockey, they can now play that way. The Oilers can play low event hockey if you ask them to. They proved it. And, given 5 grade A scoring chances per team, I'll bet you Edmonton gets 1 or 2. And the other team, if you're the LA Kings, maybe not, right?
Yeah. So, no, I think it's like, I think they do miss Drew Doughty a little bit. That probably, that'll play in something on their power play. Brant Clark's good, but I don't think he's as good as Drew Doughty right now. But the other thing is, Spec, they just, as Bernstein said, they need a right shot winger who can shoot, and the Oilers need a right shot defenseman. So, there's not a trade there within them, and neither one of those, there's not like there's a massive list of scoring right wingers or top 4 right defensemen. So I'm curious to see what Rob Blake and Stan Bowman do for different positions and kind of the obvious need. LA has one obvious need. Edmonton has one obvious need. Well, Edmonton has 2. I think they're going to want to upgrade their 4th line center spot, but definitely they want the defenseman there. Both teams are going 11-7 tonight, Spec. You don't see it very often.
No.
And I know people are saying, it's Skinner for Brown. It's not. Skinner was out last game. So was Josh Brown. It's Derek Ryan for Josh Brown. They want Janmark playing with Henrique and Connor Brown tonight. So, that's 2 consecutive games for Skinner. And he'd actually been playing better lately. And so when you look at the 8 wingers tonight, so we look at the 8 wingers because Janmark's not a center. If you look at the 8 wingers, which one would you take out for Jeff Skinner?
Oh, Jeff Skinner's in a pickle here, right? Because he's not, it doesn't look like he's meshing with either McDavid or Draisaitl. In fact, I'm pretty clear he's not meshing with either of them. He has not found a way. I know people are listening going, oh, he's barely played with them. Well, he played them at the start. He was a bit of a disaster. So if you can't play with McDavid and Draisaitl, you can't play in Edmonton's top 6. That's just the way it is. And he's not a bottom 6 player anywhere. He's at a weird point, Jay, in his career here where, the way he skates and more so the way he defends, like, look at your stats. He's -10. He's the worst minus on the Oilers. And he's among forwards. I think there's only about 3 guys who've played less minutes than him, but he's the biggest minus in the whole group. So the coaching staff doesn't trust him. They don't trust him. And you can't be that guy and be a bottom 6 player. You got to be trusty. You got to figure out how to keep the puck out of your net and score when you get a chance. And he can't figure that out. He's at a weird point in his life here. I don't know if he's a top 6 player on a good team right now. And frankly, he's probably sick and tired of being a top 6 player on bad teams, right? So what do you do if you're Jeff Skinner?
Yeah, it's a fair point, right? Like, if you looked at the roster for fit and style and everything, because he doesn't forecheck like Podkolzin, so he doesn't fit with Draisaitl. He's not the defensive conscious like Janmark, so he's not there. Kapanen's actually outscored him if we're talking per minute rate ever since he came over, right? Kills penalties. So the one position he probably fits the best is where Nugent Hopkins is, right? Realistically, right? If you're looking, and so some could argue, hey, why not give him a look there? And let's say hypothetically you did that. Could you then move Nugent Hopkins to play with Henrique and Brown and put Janmark on your 4th line?
No, you could do all of that. You could do all of that, yeah. But now you're taking a guy, like, I think the coaches and Connor McDavid quite like Nugent Hopkins where he's playing.
Yes.
I think they like that. And I'm not here to tell you Connor McDavid, he make it clear. McDavid doesn't walk in and tell Knobloch who's playing where, but every coach in the National Hockey League talks to his best players and figures out what the best fit is, right? We've been through this in Edmonton. Evander Kane fell off of those lines. Jesse Puljujarvi fell off of those lines, right? Yeah. Because no one wanted to play with Jesse Puljujarvi. That's just how it was. People don't like hearing it. And I believe, and no one's told me this, I believe that's where Jeff Skinner is. Like, say what you want about Podkolzin. What's he got? Like 16 points or something in the first half of the season? He's on pace for 30 points. Big deal. But Leon Draisaitl at even strength is having the best year of his life. And you got to look at Arvidsson and Podkolzin. And even though we both go, Arvidsson's been okay, and Podkolzin, his numbers are only okay, those 2 guys have a lot to do with Draisaitl having the best even strength first half he's ever had. Don't discount that. They get some credit here. So those spots aren't going anywhere. No one's going to change those wingers to give Jeff Skinner a chance here, pal, because they have a great second line, and the top line's the top line. If McDavid doesn't want Skinner, Skinner's not going to get McDavid.
Yeah, that's probably right. And so that's where I'm not sure what happens here. Just Jeff Skinner, I don't think he's going to agree to a trade to a non-playoff team.
I don't know.
I could be wrong. So
it's a really tough spot.
Yeah, it might just be a depth guy. And you know what? Maybe an injury occurs and all of a sudden it happens. So you stick with it and, you keep playing hard. Like, he's out 2 games. He'll be in Minnesota. The coach doesn't like guys sitting out longer than that usually. Yeah. So I would think they would find a way. I could be wrong, but we'll see if he comes back in.
I got a piece I'm going to write tomorrow. Corey Perry told me, he said, if I didn't make the switch from, like I said, what's it like? You were first line guy your whole life. Now you're 4th line guy. He says, hey, I did it so I can keep playing in the league.
Yep.
Right. He didn't do it because that was his plan. Hey, I would like to be a 4th line guy now. He did it because he wants to play. And Corey Perry has figured out with, glacial foot speed, He's figured out how to get out there and get his shift in and help offensively and not be a liability. Like Corey Perry's not getting scored on every night.
Yeah.
And Jeff Skinner maybe is at that point in his career where I think he's got it. It doesn't matter if he scores a little bit. He's getting scored on way too much. If he doesn't figure that out, he won't be able to find 1 out of 32 coaches in the league that trusts him enough to give him a chance to play.
Yeah, it's like I think Skinner's tried. I think they had a tough first October, but the whole team did. But if you look at Skinner's numbers from December on, he's not getting outscored, right? It was all early on, and that's so it makes his numbers look way worse. So if you look from November 1st, where the Oilers are second best team in the NHL, his numbers are fine. They had some games, him and McDavid, and not that Skinner had, I can think of 1, maybe 2 plays where he was direct result of a goal against, and that'll happen. But it's a valid comment. Now, Perry's also, bigger, tougher, was always a net front presence, right? Skinner's never really been a net front presence, right? So it's hard for him to do, but I do think it's a willingness. If you want to be a goal scorer, you have to have a willingness to go to the tough areas. If you want to be a physical player, it's a willingness to always hit. And if you want to adjust and adapt, there's so many first-round picks, Spec, who 2 years into the NHL, if you don't adapt and say, geez, I might not be a top 6 guy here. I got to be a penalty killer and whatever. Ethan Morrow, we can go down the list of guys. If you don't do that, you're out of the league. It's just how it is.
Oh, for sure. It's a little, I'm going to say, I know those guys too. And it's mentally, it's hard for those guys to get their head around it. But they're young and they're at their peak. The guys you're talking about, Andrew Cogliano, they still had lots of speed. Jeff Skinner's doing it at a time in his career when he's been doing this for a long time. He's a 1,000-game player, man. So I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's that's why I say he's at a weird point in his career here. He has to decide, am I going to be a top 6 guy on teams that don't have a chance to win? He said to me the other day, he said, hey, I came here to win. I came here because it's a really good team, and really good teams have lots of really good players. He has his head around the fact there's a bunch of guys on this team that are going to get played ahead of him. He could get that. He figure that out. But if he's going to play in a bottom 6 role, there's a certain way you got to play. That's all. And when the going gets tough in the playoffs, man, he was at fault for a goal in Pittsburgh the other night. Well, big deal. There's a bunch of guys who are at fault in Pittsburgh, but coaches, they don't seem to have a long leash for him, Jason. And when a coach doesn't have a long leash for a player, that generally tells me he's seeing a lot more mistakes than you and I are seeing.
Yeah. Well, I know what the mistakes were. It's moving the puck quickly. And so that's not even a mistake. That's just a habit, right? And I get it. You played in the league 15 years. It's really hard to say, okay, Jeff Skinner, you get the puck. We got to move it quick. He likes to carry the puck. That's what he is. But when you play Draisaitl and McDavid, it just doesn't work. And so I'm not, they'll stick with him because I don't know if there's any other choice here, but when I look at Kapanen and Podkolzin, neither one of those guys were here when the Oilers signed Jeff Skinner. So a lot of people you got to play him. But things change and evolve. That's how analysis works, and things evolve and change. And so on July 1st, neither one of those guys were here. Now, on January 13th, they're both here, and they're both playing very well and doing things. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. So they do things different.
Not a soul thought that when Podkolzin showed up, he was going to be a top 6 player and play with Draisaitl every night. Stan Bowman never thought that, and he's the guy that acquired him. Jeff Jackson acquired Jeff Skinner. What do I want to call him? Chris Skinner. Is there a football player called Chris Skinner?
Well, I don't think so.
Jeff Jackson acquired Jeff Skinner, and as a deadlock top 6 left winger. That's why he got him. It's a bad acquisition. He's not working here. So now it's where can we play him? Well, let's see. We got Kapanen. Let's see. We got Janmark on the left side. What's going to happen when Kane comes back? So the point I'm trying to make here is things don't always turn out the way you want. Podkolzin's been a hell of a story here. That's awesome. Jeff Skinner's been the other side of that coin for the Oilers.
Actually, Spec, Cons, can you look it up? Did the Elks not have a running back, Chris Skinner, in the 80s?
I think they did.
They did. Okay, there you go. Okay. Nice. They did. Okay, good. Yeah.
I'd probably call him Jeff anyway.
Yeah. Stu, you're not calling him Stu, so that's Spec, what'd you make of the game in Chicago?
I thought that, give the Oil credit. They didn't play good and they won. They dug another hole and they dug themselves out and they won. They really they're not playing their best hockey. It's a real tough stretch. They're on the road, blah, blah, blah. No one needs to hear it, but they found 2 points where there necessarily wasn't 2 points just sitting there to be had. I know it's Chicago. They're in 32nd place. They beat Colorado just the other night. They can beat you. And I sort of admired the way the Oilers, they really kind of had to roll the sleeves up and get that game back in control. One more, it was 2-0. If it get to 3-0, they weren't going to win. And, I guess I'd finish with this, Jay. I remember a lot of years when Pittsburgh, when Detroit, Colorado, Vancouver with the Sedins would come to Edmonton, and the Oilers would jump out and get a couple goals, and we all go, hey, man, the Oilers look good tonight. And then by the third period, they tie it up, and damned if they didn't score that power play goal. They walk out with the 2 points, and the Oilers would be going, well, geez, we played pretty good, and they got all the points.
Yeah.
That's what Chicago was doing. Chicago played pretty good. Edmonton got the points.
Yeah. Spec, we'll see you at the rink tonight. Should be a good game.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Jake.
That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine. We're talking goalies. Kemper, we'll get into what's been so good for him, why the fit in LA. We'll talk a little Gustafsson, although Fleury's out playing him in Minnesota right now. The new goalies in Colorado. There's lots of goalie talk next with Woodley on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit PlayAlberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
Get ready, Edmonton. The 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here. Celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey, proudly sponsored by Sports 1440.
He's bringing the spirit and sound of the East Coast to the prairies. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents Alan Doyle. Live in the venue January 17th. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Get ready to rock with ZZ Top. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents ZZ Top live in the venue June 6, 2025. Tickets at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Portions of this hour brought to you by EPCOR. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, making them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community league or city rink that is safe for you, your family, and friends. Think twice and stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:33 on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440. Hope you're having a lovely day. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton, 13-time Excellence Award winner in sales and service. And right now, stop in at Volvo Cars Edmonton, and you can lease a XC29 or XC90 2025 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and also save $4,500 at volvocarsedmonton.com. As Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us once again. Woodley, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, Jason. You?
Hey, I'm excellent. Can you let me get in? We talked to Dennis Bernstein, and he mentioned how Darcy Kemper's been great in LA. I thought that trade had the potential to work out well for both sides, and so far, I think Washington's been happy with Dubois. LA's been happy with Kemper. Now, that environment in LA, like they're leading the league, tied with Winnipeg in goals against. They've been a pretty, if anybody asked LA's identity for years, we'd say defensive hockey. So, is it Kemper? Is it the system? Is it a combination of both?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. I like what you said about the trade working out both ways for both teams, Washington and LA. And I think part of that in Darcy's case is part of it's him. Part of it's his comfort going back to LA. I think they had an understanding when they brought him in. Obviously, Billy Ranford's no longer the goaltending coach with the Kings, but he is the director of goaltending. And so you have that ability to sort of meet with your staff and talk about, hey, these are the things this goalie was good at. This is where we had success. Do we think we can replicate some of those things? And obviously the answer was yes. So in terms of the environment, you're right. It's one of the better ones in the NHL, but it's been a bit more up and down. It hasn't been as steady this year. And at times when it hasn't been great, Darcy's been at his best. They're number one in the NHL on the season in terms of high danger chances at 5-on-5 against. Like they are the best defensive team in that metric. But in the past month, it's been closer to 10th best in the league. And in the past month, Darcy's been one of the best goaltenders in the entire NHL. He's 6th at plus 3.9% adjusted save percentage in the past month. And for the season on a whole, he's top 10 in the National Hockey League. So, yeah, he's comfortable there. I think he's playing with a little bit more flow in his game, a little bit more backdrift, not being so much about set and square. There's a little bit of motion. He looks comfortable playing that way. Some of it is the insulation around him for sure. But a lot of it is Darcy Kemper. And in the past month, massively, a lot of it is Darcy Kemper. So pretty good so far for him and the Kings in terms of this being a fit.
And looking at this week, the Oilers got 4 playoff teams. The Minnesota Wild, you can make a strong argument that lately Fleury's been their better goalie. And I think it was kind of, even this weekend, that the coach went with the goalie that he wanted to for sure get the win in the back-to-back against San Jose, went with Fleury, and then, Gustafsson got the next night. What do you make about Gustafsson's play here since coming back from that injury?
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of it since the injury, and obviously it's taking some time. I mean, he's still top 10 in the National Hockey League in terms of his performance to date, and that's the beauty of having a Marc-Andre Fleury behind him, right? Like, Fleury's kind of been hovering around just above expected, like giving you league average or better goaltending. In the last little while, he gets on a bit of a heater, and that allows you to ease Gustafsson back in. It's one of those things where, you can bring a guy back from an injury too soon if you feel pressure. I would actually point to Philadelphia, where they've struggled with goaltending behind Sam Ersson. And up until his injury, he was one of the best goalies in the league. Since coming back, as Fedotov and Kolosov struggled and kind of being thrust into it, it looked to me like a little early, like he's been a totally different goaltender, almost opposite numbers, bottom of the league instead of top of the league. And so what Fleury gives you with Gustafsson is if there is a lack of comfort, or if it is taking him a little longer to get his timing back or get his legs underneath him because of whatever injury it was, you have the benefit of being able to not rush him too much. But still, on the season, he's been exceptional. I wouldn't panic over short term. And I would think with Fleury and with Wallstedt in the minors, and they just signed Dylan Ferguson behind him in the minor leagues, I would think you'd have enough of a cushion there that you wouldn't feel like you're pressuring him to rush back or to play if he's not 100%. So to me, that means it's probably just a matter of time before he finds his form. It's not a bad option to have if you're the Minnesota Wild. One guy has been top 10 on the season, another guy who's on a heater right now that allows you to ease him back in a little bit.
Looking at the Colorado Avalanche, And it's rare to see a team trade both of their goalies during the season, but they did. And Mackenzie Blackwood, who was playing well before he got there, has got to Colorado. What do you make of his numbers since? Because the public available numbers look excellent. What's the environment been for him? Is saves above expected, everything like that. How is he fit in Colorado?
Yeah, he's fit like a glove. Been fantastic for the most part. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of ups and downs as you make an adjustment. And actually, my column at NHL.com this past week on Friday was about, how rare it was for a team to make a wholesale change like that. But also like how important it was to make it early, right? We've talked in the past, you don't see a lot of impact deals at the deadline because there's not enough games left to get comfortable. And you might say that Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood to a degree too, because he's been really good since he got there, obviously injured right now. But up till that point was really good. They've adjusted so quickly. It's like, well, maybe we could have done this at the deadline. But Blackwood spoke to us about, the pressure having this time takes off and how much more pressure there would have been if this was a March 7th trade and he only had a few starts or a handful of starts to get comfortable and make the adjustment. So I think having that pressure taken off, playing behind one of the top 5 defensive teams in hockey, and that was the thing amidst all the struggles, like for sure, Georgiev took the brunt of it when they were at their worst defensively and with all the injuries they had early in the season. That's when he was playing the most. But as they got healthy, that environment leveled off and was frankly one of the best in the league. And he still struggled to be consistent. And so anytime you're a goalie coming into a team that defends as well as they do, that adjustment's going to be easier. I talked to Corpusalo about this, compared it to his year going to Los Angeles. He talked specifically about the 1-3-1 and how predictable it was as a goaltender. And so Blackwood has enjoyed going to a team that is far more predictable, is far better defensively. For him, the adjustment has been, man, there's a lot of time where the play is down at the other end of the rink and I'm not seeing a lot of shots. So the opposite of what it was in San Jose, and obviously the extra pressure that comes with it. But so far, so good. And for all the people that, kind of said, boy, that was quick to sign that contract and to give him that extension. I agree on one hand, especially for a guy who's been up and down throughout his career. But on the other hand, if you've got a defensive environment that's this strong and you think you've got a guy that fits it, all he's going to do is produce great numbers and that price could go up. And that's kind of what's happening. Like his numbers since getting to Colorado are near the top of the league. And as that happens, he's rising the chart overall because he was already above expected in San Jose. And he's probably the only guy alongside maybe Logan Thompson who has a shot to at least put a dent in Connor Hellebuck's Vezina Trophy argument. As good as Hellebuck has been and appears headed towards his 3rd Vezina Trophy and back-to-back coming off last year's, Blackwood's numbers have been so good in Colorado that I give him a chance of at least making a strong case if he keeps it up.
Kevin Woodley from InGoal Magazine and NHL.com joins. It's funny that this week, if you looked at opponents' goaltending, Edmonton, we could make a strong argument that Vancouver might be the easiest goalies to face, and I don't think people would have said that at the start of the season. What do you make of Lankinen and Demko right now, and who would you start in Winnipeg for the Canucks?
Well, I would start Thatcher Demko.
Okay.
Because if indeed you've told your goalies you're going with the rotation, where the rotation kind of got messed up is when Demko injured his back in Seattle, right? So that threw everything off. But at the end of the day, as good as Lankinen has been, and he's been really good for the Vancouver, saved their season, right? Like probably no arguments there. He saved their season, given them a chance to be in this playoff race despite everything else they've been through. Even at the peak of his powers, it's a tier below where Demko is at his best. And so ultimately your best chance is to get Demko playing at his top level. And that's not going to happen if you're not playing him. And so if you had a plan and the plan was to rotate, and Kevin Lankinen was going in Toronto on Saturday, back end of back-to-back, and Thatcher Demko was supposed to start Tuesday in Winnipeg, I stick with that plan. Okay. Because a shutout in a game where the Leafs had 3 high danger chances, like as good as Lankinen was and as much as they needed him to be good in that game, or at least perfect, it was just 3 high danger. It was 1.24 expected goals. Their defensive game has leveled up kind of to where it was last season. The Leafs didn't generate much against them at all. And so if you're going to throw your rotation out the window for a game like that, to me, it shows little signs of desperation. And hey, they are desperate for wins. But also, I don't know if I love the message it sends to your supposed number one goaltender at a time when he's trying to find his game. And frankly, I don't think he's been that far off of late. Like, I think he's been good. We know he has the capability to get great. And I don't think you get him there if you're making decisions like sitting him out because the other guy had a shutout in his past start.
Well, if you've told your guy, and what do you make of that? 'Cause isn't it risky to tell your goalies it's a rotation based on that? Like, you play a great game and you can't play a second game in a row. Like, I'm not saying he played great, but you know what I mean? Like, is there a risk in just saying we're a rotation automatically?
Well, I mean, I've liked the way take a look at Washington. You know, up until Lindgren getting hit, took the shot to the head and is out with an upper body injury right now, which I think everybody suspects is probably concussion protocol. Up until that point, like, they've gone back and forth outside of, I think they adjusted it once to get Logan Thompson a start against the Vegas Golden Knights against his own team. Other than that, it has been straight back and forth. And I just think when you've got two guys and everybody wants the net every night, it's the next best thing. And so anytime you start altering it based on performance, you're like, why have a plan if you're going to alter it? If the performance isn't wide, like if you don't have a wild swing between the two. And Dustin Wolf in Calgary and Dan Vladar, I think we're seeing that. They went back and forth a while, and then if a guy had a shutout, he'd get two in a row. And now that gap in performance between Wolf and Vladar has gotten to the point where Dustin Wolf's getting the net more. It's just too hard to ignore. But when you've got guys who are relatively similar, I just think like it's a fine line between, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're going to do for this week or for next week. It's not forever, and that can change. But you know, like a shutout or winning you're in, like, why would you add pressure to a position that's already packed with it? And at the end of the day, I think everybody recognizes that Thatcher Demko, like, his peak is Vezina Trophy caliber. Lankinen's peak is, can he be a number one goaltender in the National Hockey League? And he may yet show that he can. But I know who I'm trying to get back on track at this point, as good as the other guy has been. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I would not be surprised at all if this coaching staff goes the other way and starts liking it on Tuesday in Winnipeg. I'm just saying I could make the argument otherwise.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Let's quickly move to the Washington situation and Linger. Do you think he got ran?
I'm trying to picture in my head.
Just like contact, do you think? Like, because, you know, like people thought Zadorov ran Skinner, right? Like, I know they say, hey, he knew what he was doing. And I don't know if his intention was to hit him. Did he try to get out of the way? No. But I don't know if I looked at that as like a running the goalie. What did you make of the Washington one?
Okay, I'm biased here, and I'm trying to pull up the replay as we talk here on the Washington one. I'm thinking of the Skinner one right away. And I know Skinner came out after the game and said it's just a hockey play. Yeah. But unless there's contact, like if you're coming through the blue, like if you can't cut above the blue and you're not going behind the net and you're not shooting, that means your only play is to go through me.
Right.
And I think that should be goaltender interference every time.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Zadorov got a penalty, no question, right?
But start calling it on all the contact through the blue. And then maybe you'll eliminate it. And when it's violent, do you get to call it a headshot if it comes through and clips a guy in the head? Like you could make, I mean, you know, the goalie's on his knees in that situation. So you can't argue, well, he's on his knees, I'm going to hit him in the head regardless. Because the only reason you hit him in the head is you went through the blue at full speed. Now, if you're cutting out and he leans into you or reaches out for a poke check and he takes one off the head, then there's some blame to go on him. Like, this is a tough one for me, Jason, because I'm a little biased. Like, I was concussed 3 years in a row at a stupid low-level beer league by one guy who kept doing this play. He'd get around the defenseman, he'd drive the net, and he'd just actually absolutely crater the goaltender on a regular basis. And everyone would yell that it's a hockey play. But unless you can cut above the blue and you know the goalie's in the blue, short of me turning into a turtle and popping back into my net, there's contact at every time. And if I'm on my knees inherently because I'm along the ice to seal it, that contact's probably going to be with my head. And so I do think full speed plays through the blue, even with the puck, are risky. And if there's no contact from a defenseman, and that's why you always tell your defenseman, don't hit him. I want it to be his fault. If you hit him, it's not his fault anymore that he comes into me. But if they've got their head down and they're going through there like that, like, to me, that's something that should be a penalty. And if you make head contact, should be considered head contact in terms of potential for supplemental discipline. It'll never happen. It's a scoring play. Everybody sees it that way. But our helmets just aren't designed for that type of contact. I was glad Stuart Skinner, his has some extra padding that's designed to absorb some of that rotational. If you've ever been in the locker room and you've seen him take off his mask, look inside it. There's little fluid pods that line it. And so it gives it a little bit of give before that energy is transferred to the skull and potentially to the brain. So I'm glad he had no problem with that, but it's such a risky play. And again, like Jason, I'm obviously biased on this one, and I wasn't able to get the highlight up to tell you exactly what I think of that one with Lindgren. But anytime you're coming through there, I don't care puck or not, if there's no contact and you go through the goaltender, even we haven't done enough to make that a quote unquote crime that you can get mad about it now. But if we keep seeing plays like that, and that's a couple in a couple weeks now, then I think something needs to be done about it, because inevitably, if you call it a hockey play forever, somebody's just going to do that in the playoffs and absolutely truck a hot goaltender to get him out.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Kev, great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. We will chat with you next Monday. Have a great week.
Thanks, Jason.
It's Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com. Take a quick break. We'll come back with the lineup report and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start the new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen TVs, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a queen spring wall Euro top for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Get ready, Edmonton. The 2025 Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey Week is here. Celebrating 61 years of hockey excellence, January 10th to 19th. Witness over 10,000 players from more than 600 teams compete for the top spot in their division. It's one of the biggest minor hockey tournaments in the world. A heartfelt thank you to the volunteers, coaches, refs, and families who make this event possible. Come cheer for the future stars of hockey during Quick Card Edmonton Minor Hockey. Proud sponsored by Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
Pro sports, local sports, minor leagues, you got it all. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X is, of course, the Oilers set to take on the Los Angeles Kings as we get to the lineup report now. Brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, home of the $50 bi-weekly ATV, or you could get on a boat this summer for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Hockey fans helping hockey fans with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, boats, and more at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Some lineup changes for the Oilers. Stu Skinner comes in for Calvin Pickard, who played in Chicago. And the Oilers will go with the, at least under Chris Knobloch, the rare 11-7, 11-4-7 defenseman. Josh Brown is in. Derek Ryan is out. So Perry and Kapanen will be the fourth-line wingers, and they'll rotate centers between them. The LA Kings also going 11-7. Darcy Kemper is in. Doughty and Edmondson are still hurt for the Kings. Kane still, of course, banged up for the Edmonton Oilers. Jeff Skinner will sit out his second consecutive game tonight. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Enjoy the game. We got the pregame show coming up with Walker and Paulson. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by eWell. Supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. Get amped up at ewel.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers in action tonight, hosting the LA Kings down at Rogers Place. Puck drop about 7:38. Our pregame coverage with Walker and Paulson gets going next here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere, you got the Panthers up on the Flyers 2-0 after 20 minutes. And just getting going in Chicago, Blackhawks and Flames tied at 1 apiece in the NFL. Round 1 of the playoffs wraps up tonight with the Rams and Vikings meeting in Glendale. This one gets going in about 10 minutes time. And in the association right now, Rapids show the Warriors 15-14 in the first. In the second, T-Wolves lead the Wizards 41-35. Also, the Rockets and Grizz, Spurs, Lakers, and Heat in Los Angeles taking on the Clippers. Up next, as I mentioned, it is pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Once the Oilers and Kings wrap up, they'll be back for post-game coverage. And then tomorrow morning, you've got the Kevin Carius Show with Kevin and Brandon Douglas at 7 a.m. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports